We are live. Welcome to Forward Future Live, October 15th, 2025. And as you can see, we're at Dreamforce. And with me today, co-hosting again, my partner, Nick Wentz. What's up, Nick?
How you all doing?
Yeah, this is pretty cool. We have a bunch of people behind us. This is Dreamforce 2025. We have an incredible show for you today. A bunch of amazing guests. Who do we have in store for everybody today?
So first up, we have Claire Sparks from F1. Then we have Silvio Savarese, Chief Scientist from Salesforce. Then Scott O'Neill from Live Golf, the CEO of Live Golf. And of course, Mark Benioff, Chairman, the man himself, Chairman and CEO of Salesforce. Very excited for that conversation. And then Paul Smith, Chief Commercial Officer from Anthropic. And then we have Chris Rasmussen, CTO of Figma. And last, but certainly not least, Nancy Su, VP of Salesforce AI.
Is this your first Dreamforce?
First ever Dreamforce.
Yeah, mine too. I mean, I lived in the city for about 10 years, and it would always get absolutely hectic during that time during Dreamforce, but this is my first time actually here, first time doing a live show from Dreamforce, so very excited for today, very excited for our guests. Slightly different format than usual, and
less news, less headlines, less
us talking.
Less slop or not.
Yeah.
A lot of guests, a lot of great guests.
Let's bring our first guest on.
You want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it right away.
Let's do it.
So our first guest, Claire Sparks, Head of Technical Initiatives at F1. Claire, come on up to the show. Welcome, Claire.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. So nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so first, Claire, pull that mic right up to yourself. Yep, and tell us what you do at F1, what your role is.
Yeah, thank you. So my role is focused on all of our technology initiatives, whether that is our corporate technology projects or whether it's the more innovative and R&D work that we do with our technology partners. My role is to make sure that everybody is set up for success, that we have the right people, that we have the right resources, that we have the right commitment, and that there's a strategic alignment there when it comes to return on investment and getting the best from any of the work that we do.
Amazing. So you might not know this, but Matt and I love to talk about AI. I'm curious, how does AI present itself in your world? How are you using it? How do you see the teams of F1 using it? Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So we're so much in the infancy, as a lot of organizations are when it comes to AI. One of the things that I think is so exciting about it is the potential that it can bring. We have an incredibly lean workforce. As an organization, F1 has around 650 to 700 employees, which is a stat that everyone's a little bit shocked about.
That's less than I thought, given the scale and the presence of F1.
Absolutely.
Especially in the last few years, it's really absolutely blown up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It really has.
And you said 650 to 700 total?
Total.
Amazing.
Totally.
Amazing.
Totally.
Yeah.
So when you look at that and you think about that in the context of what we do on a global scale and the brand on a global scale, we are exploring how we can use AI to support our workforce and to really just take this moment in time, which is incredibly exciting, and take Formula One and elevate it to the next level using the technology that's available. So AI for us is about helping support our workforce, helping streamline our operations, but also about how we talk to our fans. Yeah. We have a vast fan base. We have 827 million fans globally.
Has that just exploded over the last few years with there's been a bunch of really great TV shows and really great movies?
Yeah, exactly that. So we had very ambitious growth plans back in 2022. We started working with Salesforce. We knew it was an incredibly scalable solution. We had a significant fan base then, but with, as you say, with Drive to Survive, with the F1 movie, it's just exploded. And the great thing about it is we are now reaching audiences that we just have never been able to reach before. So that, the traditional F1 fan, usually over 45, male, that's the demographic, very much focused in the European region. We now have a far more global reach in terms of our fans, where they're geographically located around the world. And the demographics changed. So we have 43% of our fans are now female, 42% of our fans are now under 35. So when we look across our fan base, the demographic and they have in our sport is different. It's not just that traditional motorsport interested in the car technology. It's far broader than that now.
So I've always wanted to go to a race. I've never had the opportunity. I'm curious, what percentage of fans have actually been to a race before?
1% of our fan base usually is the figure that they get to go to a race. So when you think about 1% of such a global audience,
Right.
most of our fans will never get the opportunity to attend a race. And that's where TV shows, the movie, the digital products that we offer, the experiences that we offer as an organization, that really helps our fans understand and engage with the sport and also get to feel like they're within that F1 family and within that F1 ecosystem. Even if they're not at track with us, they're still enjoying the race experience off the track as well.
So we could talk later about this, but if you want to have a little live show at your next F1 race, like we'd be happy to do it.
I'll put a word in.
Always thinking.
I'm curious, so you talked a little bit about using AI internally in operations, but how are the actual race teams using artificial intelligence to improve their times, improve racer ability? What are they doing?
So that's probably a question where the race teams would be best placed to answer it. For me, I think when I think about our race operations, so we move around the world, 21 different countries, 24 different races, different events every single season. And for us, it's all about making sure that our teams are working smarter and not harder. And with the growth of the sport that we've seen in the past few years, it's really about using our teams' skill set. They're incredibly knowledgeable and very good at what they do. But we often, as that lean organization, only have one or two people who can do a certain specialist role. So it's about using AI as a tool to help minimize the risk of people not being available at certain key times, so that we can continue to broadcast that race in a way that continues to show that greatest spectacle on Earth.
Yeah, incredible. So F1 has been referred to as the traveling tech circus. Ooh. And this is kind of what you're alluding to here. The logistics, the infrastructure necessary to put on a race. Can you just walk us through what that looks like in practice, the nitty-gritty details of your team and how they're setting all of this up?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredibly cool to understand how that looks behind the scenes. So we have a number of different pieces of kit that we move around the world in almost like a leapfrog formation. Sometimes we'll have two. Our cameras, it's one set of cameras that we move from race to race. So as I said, 21 countries, 24 different races. Our teams arrive from 10 days out, and from 10 days out of the race, they start setting everything up. So we ask for a concrete slab, we ask for power, and we ask for water. Everything else we bring ourselves. So when we look across, there's hundreds of cameras around the track, hundreds of mics around the track. Our teams will go and they will lay the copper cables to get the feed from the track, take the telemetry data, comes back into our broadcast center, which is a traveling broadcast center that is at the track. And that's where the international feed is curated, and that feed is fed back to our media centre in Kent in the UK, and then from Kent in the UK that's pushed out to our broadcast partners around the world, and that's what you see on the TV at a race event.
I think you could learn a thing or two from F1, how to put on a show. Yeah.
How are you thinking about how technology is going to help facilitate that, the setup at each location, and then also for the viewing experience? It just seems like we're at this tipping point of AR and VR. What are some of the initiatives that you're thinking of about to bring in not only new viewers but really enhance that experience?
Yeah. So I can't talk about too much because it's a little bit top secret, but what we're exploring, we have an amazing group of technology partners that we work with. So Salesforce are one, we also work with AWS, Lenovo, Globant, and Tata Communications. And across our network of tech partners, we are able to tap into and harness what they each bring. So they all have their own specialisms. They're all bringing AI into their mix of technology. And that just gives us an amazing platform to explore what our priorities as to how we can take our operation. We went remote in COVID. We took our whole broadcast operation and we shifted from having a completely in-person presence at track to having more of a mix of remote and at track operations.
Is that where you're still what you're still doing?
We still have that
hybrid?
mix. Yeah, we still have that mix. But the number of people who are at the track has reduced significantly. It's halved, reduced significantly from where we were pre-COVID. So we have these catalysts in history, COVID being one of them, AI disruption being the next, that it just gives us an opportunity to really think about how we can evolve our sport, evolve what we're putting out into the world in a way that reaches more people who can't attend the race.
And I'm curious, so you're in San Francisco right now, you probably see the Waymos driving around, there's a ton of Teslas, a lot of autonomous driving here. How do you think that is changing the relationship of kind of the casual viewer to F1? It just seems like the further we get from manually driving cars, it's almost like even more impressive seeing what can be done by a human driver. What's your take on that?
Yeah, and if I may just add to that, because I think this question is so good. It's, if you're raised in a society where the driving is done for you, do you still have that same relationship to the automobile? And therefore, do you care as much about a sport like F1? From my sense, yes, because F1 stands alone and can handle that. But what's your perspective on that?
Great question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when we think about the tech is great, it is amazing, it is ever evolving at a very rapid rate. But at the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all humans who are working with this technology. And when we think about how, the drivers interact with the cars, that reaction time, there is a human element to that, the decision making, the context, the situational awareness that they're in. I think they bring something to the sport and to the being behind the wheel that I think it's going to be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to get away from. I think from the fan side and the fans' perspective, with that growing fan base, what we've learned from our fans is that they are interested in the humans behind the technology, behind the sport.
Their story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we all want to be connected. We're sort of in this epidemic of lack of connection with other humans as technology increases and we use technology more. But ultimately, we all want that human connection. And so for our fans to be able to access the personalities, who are these drivers? What's their daily routine? What's their well-being? What's their fitness routine? What do they do? What's their mindset? How do they keep their mind focused for that 2 hours of going around a track in sometimes incredibly difficult conditions? So people want to know that. They want to know who the humans are behind the sport. Everyone wants a peek behind that curtain to see what's the human factor here.
Every sport loves their superstars, and I remember Lewis Hamilton, it seems like he couldn't lose a race. And then Max Verstappen came on the scene and it seemed like he couldn't lose a race, and that just added to the intrigue.
Absolutely.
I think, Claire, that's such a good point, especially, because our show is all about futurism, artificial intelligence, in a world where so much content can be created. At the end of the day, really the human element, as you said, the human connection, the story behind the actual people who are doing the thing, it is becoming increasingly important. So I really do believe that. How are you showcasing that? How are you emphasizing that to this changing and growing audience?
Yeah. So for us, it's about exploring new ways to talk to our fans. And so the traditional methods of email and app, we're moving into a world where we are, Drive to Survive is a great example. The F1 movie is the next level. So we are looking at ways to really find what are our fans interested in, where are they hanging out, how can we talk to them, are they on Netflix, are they on another streaming service, where are they actually playing, what space are they playing in, and then what can we bring to that space that really engages them. So our F1 Arcade is an experiential opportunity for anyone, any member of the public to go into and take the F1 driving ecosystem and to experience it firsthand.
How realistic is that?
It's incredibly cool.
Okay.
Incredibly cool.
Where can we use that?
I'll send you the details. There are a number of areas around the world that have this, but it's a new offering for us. But who doesn't want to be an F1 driver, right? Who doesn't want to sit behind the wheel and really experience that? Yeah. So we're just exploring ways to really talk to and appeal to our fans and give them experiences away from the track as much as at the track.
Yeah. For me, another appealing factor to F1 is its peak performance, right? Like you're looking at athletes that are on top of their game. I saw an exercise that one of the drivers was doing to simulate the G-forces.
The neck?
Yes.
Oh my
God. It was a movie,
I saw a regular Joe do it, couldn't do it.
Huge.
Totally.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
And that's the story behind the track, right? Because it's, what are these guys doing to stay top of their game? What do they do to make, because you sort of think you're just sitting in a car for 2 hours, but actually there is so much more in terms of the physical demands, the G-force, and your body needs to withstand those. So people want to know, what's the routine? What's the wellness? And I think that's the really great example.
Yeah.
And so as you're thinking about how technology is going to continue to infiltrate F1 as a sport, what are you most excited about? Where are you seeing the biggest improvement for the viewing experience and maybe also the driving experience for the teams?
I think the opportunities are endless. I think I wouldn't want to limit by saying this, that. I think there's just so much potential right now.
Yeah.
Our teams, our constructors will take the technology and use it in a way that works for them. Our organization, from the media and broadcast perspective, how the technology can really improve our broadcast. How can we, maybe through the broadcast, explore different ways to engage with our fans in the moment of the race or outside of the race. So I think there's so much potential to take this and to really expand our media offering, expand our product offering, expand our technology within our operational processes internally as well, to really drive that growth that we're looking to drive.
Yeah.
No pun intended, of course.
No pun intended,
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
What do you, okay, aside from being at the track,
Yes.
what is your peak viewing experience?
Me personally.
You personally.
Me personally. So my peak viewing experience, so we have F1 TV, which is an owned and operated race channel, where we stream the races to certain regions of the world. I have access to that, and it's an incredible way to actually watch the race, the detail around it. There's segments on the tech talk of the cars. It's just the features and the richness of the information that's shared on that platform. For me, I'm fairly new to the sport. I definitely don't hit the traditional demographics. I'm not even sure I hit the newer demographics. But for me, coming into the sport relatively recently, I think it's just a great way to learn about the technology, learn about the strategy. The strategy for me is really interesting, the psychology of the race, the way the two drivers work together within their team. And that's something you don't get when you're at track. You see the cars going around very fast, but they go past and they're gone, and they go past and they're gone. The beauty of F1 TV as a platform is that we actually get to sort of hear that talk track around it. What's the detail behind what's happening right now? Why have they gone onto that set of tyres? Why have they not? So for me, it's that strategy and that story as to what's happening by the teams in the garages while the drivers are out on track as well.
So you mentioned that you're newer to this sport. How did you actually get exposed? What was that entry point for you?
So, I remember as a child watching the races on TV. So Monaco is, for me, right up there. Monaco, amazing location, and I have real memories of just watching that on TV as a child. But fast forward, I lived in Melbourne, and that's one of our early races in the season. I was within walking distance of the track, and so for me and my family, it was almost like you can't live in Melbourne, be 10 minutes walk from the track and not go to a race. So my first experience was going to Albert Park Circuit, going to the Melbourne Grand Prix, the Australian Grand Prix, and actually seeing that whole setup come to life. So what I described before, that 10 days out, people land, that's F1. Our race promoters, they start well in advance of 10 days out. They're setting up and building a mini city in each city to create the seating, to create the grandstands, to create the whole infrastructure, bridges across the track. The project management nerd in me sort of geeks out on that sort of stuff. The logistics around it is fascinating. So that was my first entry point, was as an adult, was going to the Melbourne track, being part of the race and part of the event. It really is an amazing event to go to, aside from what's happening on the track. The other series, F1 Academy, there's so much wrapped around the race itself that you can experience, whether it's classic cars, whether it's V8 supercars, there's so much more than just what's happening on the track as well. And for me, that really appeals, the sense of event and spectacle of the whole thing.
Well, I think Matt and I are going to have to commit to going to a race.
You have to.
Obviously. But Claire, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
With us.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Shake your hand.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
All right, we'll see you around. Enjoy Dreamforce.
All right. Yeah.
That was fun.
All right, so how do we get to our a F1 race? I really have been wanting to do that. She mentioned Monaco. That seems like our destination,
We
right?
can do a show in Monaco.
I guess
Yeah.
we can try to work that out.
So interesting. All right, time to bring on the next guest.
Yeah. So our next guest, you want to
After you.
introduce it? All right, Silvio Savarese, EVP and Chief Scientist at Salesforce. Silvio, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to the show. Nice to meet you.
So actually, real quick before we get started, I saw you do a talk at Agentforce last year, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad I get to meet you actually kind of face to face this time. Obviously in front of some people. Yeah.
So let's just start off with what you do at Salesforce.
Yeah, I'm a chief scientist. I'm running the AI research organization, and I joined Salesforce 4 years ago from Stanford University. I was professor of computer science, and then since then I've been running, the research and been trying to really push the boundaries of innovations within Salesforce.
Amazing.
So I've heard a lot that there's model overhang, meaning the core intelligence of the model. It is extremely capable, but the infrastructure, the scaffolding around it hasn't yet caught up, and the deployment into enterprise hasn't quite caught up. What's your take on that? How far ahead in months, years are the models compared to what we are actually able to deploy and gain value from in the enterprise?
Yeah, I think it's fundamentally one thing to keep in mind is that agents and the agentic enterprise that we are been discussing these days at Dreamforce, it's way more than just an LLM. Agent is actually a combination of different components. It's a memory to retrieve the right data, the right documents, the right conversations from a repository of data. There is a brain, which is the reasoning engine, so how come up with a certain task, how to decompose a query into a series of steps. Then there is the actuators, so how to act and make actions, turn these tasks into real functions. And then finally the interface, so how to connect with the users, with the stakeholders. So these four components together makes the agentic system. And it's a way beyond just an LLM. So then our challenge and our opportunity is to build an ecosystem infrastructure that connects the dots between these four components to create the best possible experience for customers.
And go ahead.
Yeah. So we were at Dev Day last week, and Matt had the opportunity to interview Greg Brockman. And this is a theme that keeps coming up, all about we need more compute. And their team is constantly allocating compute to different teams, to different products.
Fighting over it. Allocating might be lightly putting it, yeah.
Literally fighting. By the way, we have a new hat on the store, More Compute. You go check it out. Little plug. I'm curious, is Salesforce dealing with a similar phenomenon, arguing over compute?
Yeah, so we have a different take here. The thing is, a lot of investments in AI has been toward this goal of AGI, artificial general intelligence, where AI reaches or even surpasses human intelligence. To me, this is a bit like a promised land. It's a bit like a moving target. But the reality is that for digital enterprise, it's much more important to focus on the capabilities that are critical for those use cases, for the enterprise use cases, and the consistency, the accuracy that needs for making those use cases useful. Because you can have an AI that come up with a Shakespeare essay, or build beautiful images, or even become gold medalist at Math Olympics. But if it doesn't do well, a simple task that's critical for those enterprise use cases is not going to be useful.
Sure.
So then our goal is to put all the resources for ensuring consistency, accuracy across domains and use cases.
Is that where your primary focus is at, kind of on the research side, is to figure out how to take the raw intelligence of the model and make it more applicable to enterprise?
Yes.
I believe you're developing your own models as well.
Yeah, so
Talk to us a little bit about that.
We build models in-house. We use them for developer productivity. We also build models for the trust layer, which is the key components which allows to ensure that the AI is safe to use for customers. We're also building our own embeddings to retrieve information, through the so-called retrieval augmented generation, the RAG system. So these are all in-house solutions. However, what is actually the critical investments we are making today, and this actually was announced at Dreamforce, was the enterprise verse, the simulation environments, which allows us to stress test agents to become best in class.
So we have that on our list of questions for you, so I'm glad you brought that up. Talk to us a little bit about what that actually means. What does a simulated environment for enterprise actually mean? What does that pipeline look like?
Yeah, so first of all, let me actually back up a little bit, because it's interesting that we are experiencing a bit of a saturation curve in terms of learning capabilities. So the so-called scaling law is kind of getting saturated. Even GPT-5, as much as it was an amazing model, it still didn't was considered as a breakthrough in terms of new capabilities. The truth is that the way we are training LLM is consuming all possible data that is existing, and we are reaching that kind of saturation. So our approach is that we need to think about different way of learning, and what we call learning from experience, learning from having these agents and LLM to interact with the real world, and use this feedback to improve, to get better. That's where simulation come along. So simulation, the way we use simulation is to have these agents to try, performing tasks, and based on failure or based on success, we can provide feedback to become better and better.
And where do you actually give that feedback? Is that something that's going to be baked into pre-training, post-training, or is that something in the context window going forward, or
it's
all of the above?
Combination of those, right? So context window, better prompts, but also ability to fine-tune through RL, through reinforcement learning.
Yeah. So you mentioned the trust layer, and trust seemed to be a theme of the keynote yesterday with Mark. I'm curious, as you adopt more agentic workflows, as the average customer adopts more agentic workflows, where does the buck stop? Where is the accountability held? And if I make a cameo of Matt with Sora and it doesn't turn out quite right, I just get yelled at by Matt. But the stakes are very low.
Right.
And the
I only
enterprise
have it once, okay?
The enterprise is a different situation.
Yeah. Right, and that's why before deploying agents, we have to ensure that the quality of performance is high enough. That's why where simulation can be extremely important tools for stress testing those agents, see where they are going. It's also important to produce new benchmarks, because the truth is that right now all the benchmarks are targeting AGI. Again, passing the examination to college or become proving theorems, but they're not useful for enterprise, right? Enterprise, we need to make sure that those agents are answering the right questions for financial services, for healthcare, for service, for sales, and we need to build together benchmarks which are capable of evaluating the true performances. That's what we're doing.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about research. What does the research to productization pipeline actually look like? You're doing stuff with your team, but ultimately Salesforce is a product company and needs to monetize these things. What does that timeline look like, and what does that actual pipeline look like from getting your research into the hands of clients?
Yeah, so we first start from foundational research, from the foundation of AI, with the emphasis of enterprise, because we want to focus on specific area of research. Then we do what we call incubations with customers. So we work with the customers, we understand their pain points, we establish partnerships with customers, we work together in terms of sharing data and sharing resources, and then we come up with some prototypes which are useful to address some critical pain points. And then once we see the value, then we can bring these prototypes, these proof of concept into productions, and we work closely with the engineering team and product team to establish those outcomes. One example was the Atlas reasoning engine that was introduced last year at Dreamforce, and it was incubated within AI research. It was started as a result of collaboration with customers. We work together and we start building these advanced reasoning capabilities that we see today in Dreamforce.
So from the time you have that initial kind of research idea to dig into, and let's say it's successful, because obviously not every path is going to lead to a successful product. What does the timing look like?
Yeah, usually it's a few months. It takes a couple months to come up with a good pilot. Then another 6 months for building a very robust beta product, and then after that it goes to production. So it's usually a few releases, to see a good outcome.
So it seems like the fundamental nature of software is changing very quickly. I'm sure you've thought quite a bit about this. There's this notion of agents all the way down, and Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, said there's essentially agents, or all software is going to collapse down into agents. And so how do you see software changing, especially Salesforce leaning so hard into agents? What does the future of software look like when agents are essentially creating the user experience, the user interface in maybe real time, or the entry point to actually gaining information from Salesforce becomes that agent? What does that look like?
So the way we are thinking is that agents is to almost like workforce multipliers. So you have a disposal a number of functions, a number of tools that can be implemented by those agents. So the human become an orchestrator of those agents. It's okay. Now I'm going to use that for this and that, including software development, right? So you can imagine that specific tasks can be deployed by those agents. At some point, we also have situations where the complexity of the task is so big that humans cannot actually orchestrate himself or herself. He needs to have a so-called orchestrator layer, another agent that actually can perform some management task. So then at the end of the day, it will be a combination of orchestration and management of those different agents. And then of course the fascinating topic becomes when these agents will start communicating across orgs. That's the new society where we're going, and I think it's going to be itself as a big topic of conversation.
So we obviously have this proliferation of agents, and you can imagine a world very quickly where my job as a knowledge worker or a developer becomes managing these agents. And so I'm involved at the beginning of the process, and then at the end of the process for verification.
Right.
Are we potentially exchanging one form of drudgery for another?
Yeah, I think it's actually something more than that. It's first of all, it's important that human is in the loop in the different steps of this process. So human help means human is be able to address situations of uncertainty or conflicts, because we cannot imagine that these agents are capable all the time. So sometimes there may be situations where these agents might be uncertain, they don't know enough information, they just have enough resolution to address a certain situation. Then the human has to pull back and say, okay, what do I do in this case? The human should help and be able to resolve these kind of conflict situations. The other thing is also human has to be continue providing feedback, so that actually this kind of learning pipeline and learning process, this learning engine continue to help in making these agents to perform better.
Do you think it's a fair analogy to say that the agent becomes a thought partner? It's more of your best direct report than some kind of digital entity. It's really there to help you think through.
It's helping, and also it's not just replacing, because I think it's important, and this is what I've seen with a lot of discussion we have internally, is that now we can use AI to actually expand roles of many current profiles. So imagine that you are a product manager and wants to deliver a prototype for a customer's meeting. Then you can actually wipe code yourself, right? You can actually do prototype yourself, and it's not just asking, okay, give me the prototype. It's an iterative process. I come up with an idea, AI come up with another, an example. Then it's okay, I don't like this, do this, and then it's an iterative process until I produce, the right level of quality I want. So it's an iterative process. It's not replacing. It's about augmenting and about iterating. I think it's important too.
How long do you think that's going to be the case? Balaji had an interesting post a few weeks ago where he talked about end-to-end versus middle-to-middle. And right now, actually he said for the foreseeable future, AI is going to be capable of middle-to-middle. Thus, humans are going to need to be on each end to Nick's point, right? Kicking it off and then verifying at the end. Do you think that is the architecture of human plus AI workflow for the foreseeable future, or do you think AI is going to be capable of kicking off its own work? What does that look like in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's a transition. It's a evolution. As we learn how to use these tools and how to automate tasks which are currently menial and specific, you can also imagine that humans roles and will change as well. Will evolve on in different type of. You will have different capacity, different type of orchestrator roles. So the job will evolve in different things, and it's kind of a bit hard to predict now how they're going to be evolving. But definitely, I see a continuum and transformations as we get also more and more familiar with these tools. Because right now we are actually still learning how to use these tools, and these tools are evolving as we speak. So it's a bit of an interesting process.
What area of research are you most excited about right now within the context of Salesforce?
Yeah, I think it's one exciting area is called ambient intelligence. Essentially, we are going to a paradigm where agents right now all reactive to tasks, to commands. At some point they will be proactive. They will be infusing information, doing certain. Imagine now an agent that listen to our conversation and all of a sudden give you, okay, maybe this is something you might want to say, or this is some data you want to pull out. Yeah. This is called ambient intelligence. So you understand what we are saying, understand conversation, understand the context, and proactively provide insights that can help a certain workflow.
And how did you see that paper from last year, Sleep Time Compute, and then OpenAI announced the Pulse feature. Basically, AI is able to do this inference, not when you're explicitly prompting it, but it's preparing for questions that you might have. And let's say at night, it's kind of running inference, deciding what you might want to know in the morning. How important is that to what you're thinking about the future is the next 18 months at Salesforce?
Yeah, it's definitely we think this is important. One example of what I just mentioned, which is related to your example, it's enabling sales representatives. So imagine that the sales representative is having a conversation with a customer, and during the conversation, AI can not only first of all, before the conversation, AI can prepare for the meeting, so providing the right documentations, the right context for the particular customer conversation, but also during the meeting, it can provide insights. Say, okay, now imagine that I'm selling, let's say, Data Cloud, and then say, okay, this customer is asking me this question about Data Cloud, then I can answer with something which is specific to this customer and provide this kind of real-time insight. And this is just the beginning, because imagine then later when we're going to have, let's say, augmented glasses, right, AR glasses. This kind of insight can come through visuals, right? Can become not only as a text, but as a voice or as visuals. It will be very, very interesting way of creating this kind of immersive experiences.
Are you a big fan of the glasses form factor?
Yeah, I would love to start using those. Yeah, it's I think it would be a great way to really expand our capabilities.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Is that your kind of is that what you foresee as the primary interaction hardware between humans and AI? Is glasses, maybe earbuds?
Yeah, it will be glasses, earbuds. Definitely at some point also the concept of cell phone will evolve in those kind of interfaces. Yeah.
Sure.
And then the other interesting thing is that we'll have these personal agents that will be personalized to us. We know what what are our needs. Will be and be able to provide again proactive insights of what could be, how can help us. Let's say I want to do a shop. I need this kind of grocery stopping. I need to reserve this car for my transportation. I need to book this flight. Personal agent will help me with all these things. So the concept interface will change. So at some point, why we need to have a web interface where the agent will work on our behalf, right? So you have to imagine a completely different kind of fabric of our society.
Yeah. So maybe a bit of a personal question for you. Something that blew my mind is you're married to Fei Li. It's kind of wild to think about two AI powerhouses and kind of getting together like that. What is dinner like? Are you talking about Transformers, or are you talking about, hey, we need more milk? Like, what is that like at home?
It's a combination of those things. Definitely there are daily routine questions, in particular related to family management, kids, and so on, which are very important. We talk about education about kids, which is this new era of AI. How do we evolve? How do we adjust ourselves?
I would love to know more about that.
But of course, there is also some technical discussions. Now she's very much involved in these world models in this very exciting startup she's running. And this is actually my early background. Before joining Salesforce, I was working on 3D understanding, 3D vision. So we kind of almost exchange roles. So she does much more 3D, more 3D special reasoning. I do much more, AI, digital agency as opposed to physical visual intelligence.
A true AI power couple.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I appreciate you sharing that. And when we have you on the show next time, I would love to ask more about education with AI. Sure. Because you do, family and all that. But please.
Yeah. We are running out of time. There's so much more we could talk to you about. We'd love to have you back on the show. Before we sign off here, how many Salesforce or Dreamforces have you been to now?
This is my fourth. The first one was post-COVID. A few people, I think there's a very small Dreamforce. This is my third real one. Very exciting to see so many people around and so much excitement about this, the future of Agentic AI.
And it's so incredible. We have the Live Golf simulator slamming into the wall next to us. We have the DJ over there. It's quite a zoo.
I would say a different experience compared to the traditional conference from industry. I like also the type of connection with nature. I think it's part of the ohana that Mark is trying to build. Yeah.
Definitely.
Silvio, thank you so much for joining us.
Very nice meeting you.
What a pleasure.
Great conversation.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll see
you.
around.
Thank you. All right.
Feels like we could have gone for maybe an hour more.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Next time. Next time he comes on.
Yeah. We'll see you around.
I definitely want to ask him about education. I have 2 young kids. I want to know what the future of education is, and especially because him and Feifei, they have a family, and what is that like?
I would assume they have some good insights.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. So we have an incredible next guest. I want to thank Salesforce for bringing us here one more time. So just want to say thanks. This is such a great experience.
Been so fun.
Why don't we stop talking and bring our next guest on?
Absolutely. Bring him on.
So this is Scott O'Neill, CEO of Live Golf. Scott.
Matt, how you doing?
Welcome,
Nick,
Scott.
such a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. Please
Well, it's good
sit,
to be
pull
here.
the mic up.
It's a good little setup.
Yeah,
bad,
it's
right?
pretty nice. Not too shabby, huh?
4 cameras.
You guys hit the big time.
We're trying, slowly but surely.
Now, are either of you golfers before we get kicking off?
So I'm going to admit I have been golfing very few times.
Okay.
And I just started about 2 months ago.
That's good.
Trying
Opportunity
to get into
knocks. Okay.
Yeah, it's something me and my wife can do. We can
Yes.
do it for the foreseeable future. It's kind of a nice
Good.
experience to do together. So
Great.
that's why I was especially excited to chat with you today.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I'm doing my best. I get out there from time to time, but I can't say I'm
You don't have the bug yet.
It's there. It's growing. I just need to find the time.
In my core friend group, I'd say 75% of them are absolutely obsessed. One of them is a golf coach. Others, all they talk about is golf. So I'm from like a learning from osmosis
Great.
perspective. It's happening.
Well, we're going to talk a little AI on this show.
We're going to talk AI. We're going to talk tech. We're going to talk golf, of course.
Let's
we're going to
do
do
it.
our best to hold our own when it comes to the golf subject.
And I'll do my best to hold my own on the AI front.
So, just starting off, tell us about your role. Tell us about Live Golf.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm the CEO of Live Golf. Do you know about Live Golf? Well, if you don't, I'm going to tell you anyway.
Tell
I
us.
want to hear about it.
So most people know the PGA Tour. So that's some of the best professional golfers in the world that play in the U.S.
Yeah.
And we have the other set of great professional golfers. Names you've heard of, maybe Bryson DeChambeau, Phil Mickelson, John Rahm,
Yep.
Yeah.
Dustin Johnson, household names.
John Rahm's at the top of the
Yes, he
leaderboard,
is.
isn't
Yeah,
he?
for someone who knows very little, I know most
Big
of those
personality,
names.
and they're
Yeah.
all big personalities.
Yeah.
And we play some in the U.S., play 5 events in the U.S., but generally you see us around the world. And so we'll be in Riyadh, and Australia, and Korea, and Singapore, and Japan, and China, and so, obviously Europe, Spain, London. So it's a kind of a global. Let's take the best stars in the world. Let's take it global. There are a couple other things that are different, which I'll just highlight. One is it's team golf as well. So we have an individual competition and a team competition. That's a little different. I mean, you maybe followed some of the Ryder Cup, which is team golf. So we have 13 teams. And so each of those big names I mentioned, Dustin Johnson has a team called the Four Aces. Yeah. Cam Smith has a team called Ripper. So they each have teams. Some of them are geographically based, kind of fun. And then the third thing I'd say that's a big difference is it's fun. And so, after we played in Indianapolis, Riley Green played. We had the Backstreet Boys play in Riyadh. We had Dom Dalla and Fisher, they're big time DJs, play after Friday and Saturday in Australia. So we have big time concerts. Yeah. We have art, we have fashion. It's like the experience and festival around the game of golf.
It's the Dreamforce of golf.
I literally walked in here and I said to my crew that came in here, I was like, if Dreamforce were a golf league, it would be Live Golf. So it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Scott, we don't get to talk to many CEOs of brand new sports franchises, leagues often. So I'm incredibly curious. There haven't been many new sports leagues in the last few decades. The few that there have been have had gimmicks like the XFL but like Live Golf is something seemingly significant.
Yes.
And really you're trying to compete head on with PGA. So
kind of
tell us a little bit about it. How did it start? Where did the idea come from? And then like what is your execution strategy today?
Sure. So we have an amazing chairman. His name is Yasser Al-Rumayyan. He's the chairman of PIF, and it's his brainchild. Now, he had advisors and golf experts around him, some of whom sit on my board who are wonderful. And then he hired Greg Norman, a former amazing golfer, to come be the CEO and commissioner. And he ran it for the first 4 years. And then I came in to kind of build the business and build some credibility behind it. And it's been I will say it's the most fun I've ever had, and I've had some really fun jobs. I mean, I worked at the NBA for 8 years. I ran Madison Square Garden.
What were you doing at the NBA?
I was running a group called Teambo. So it was effectively Commissioner David Stern he's now passed away sadly, but he had this vision of having the McKinsey of sports built internally, and that's the group I ran.
Awesome.
So we built best practices. Really
in
fun.
hockey as well.
Yeah. So I spent quite a bit of time with the New York Rangers and New Jersey Devils.
Amazing.
Yeah. So listen. I've had a wonderful, fun career, but nothing like this. I mean, it's early stage. We're literally gone through 4 years.
Yep.
You know, I was on the stage with the
crazy.
CEO of Starbucks, 54 years. Major League Baseball, 100 years.
Yeah.
NBA, 90 years. I mean, NFL, 90. I mean, so this is an early stage company that's very well funded, with a lot of eyes on us, some friction in the system, and we're trying to bring golf, like our mission is so pure, we're trying to take the biggest stars in the world and bring them to the world and grow the game of golf. So it's fun.
I was going to go
after you. No,
all right. So Scott, you announced some things with Salesforce. You're a partner with Salesforce. What does that look like? What did you actually announce, and what are you doing with them?
Okay, first off, I don't mean to sound like a Salesforce apologist, but I do love them. I love the people, I love the organization, I love the will, I love how forward-thinking they are. Ariel, the president CMO, did the deal. He's wonderful. Mark is an incredible CEO, and they're doing incredible things. So very fortunate to be kind of part of the family. Probably the thing I'm most excited about is the fan caddy. And if you don't play a lot of golf, this might not mean as much to you, but it might resonate with some of your listeners. So
please.
In my role, I go to the majors, and so there are 4 majors. There's the Masters, there's the US Open, PGA Championship, and then the Open, which people sometimes in America call the British Open, but it's called the Open. And so we go there, our players are there, we have a house, it's kind of a fun experience to kind of connect with them and their families. And we oftentimes get a chance to play golf. And so I was at the Open, it was in Northern Ireland, and I went to go play golf at this course called Castle Rock. And there was an old Irish caddy that I had. And it was raining and wind and hail, okay? And so I said, first, how many yards is that? He's like, my son, in Northern Ireland, it's not about how far it is. And he hands me a club. And I was like, I know, but he's like, I will pick the club, you swing the club. And he told me about the course and what issues and challenges we had. There's water on the left, there's a sand trap 250 yards on the right, that kind of stuff. Then he helped me read putts, et cetera, et cetera. What if there were that for fans? What if we have 30% of our attendees have never been to a golf event before. Maybe you've never been to a professional golf event before. If you hadn't, right in our app, it gives you a chance. Who's playing where? What is team golf? What matters? Should John Rahm be using a 7-iron or an 8-iron? Where can I go pick up a hat? All the kind of stuff you'd want as a fan, and Salesforce is helping deliver that through AI to the fans of golf around the world.
And so let's talk about the fans a little bit more. From the viewing experience when you're not live, when you're at home, what are you using artificial intelligence for to enhance that viewing experience?
Okay, so that's a different product that we have with Salesforce called Agent Caddy, which I absolutely love. So I mentioned team golf, okay? What I didn't mention was a shotgun start. And for those of you who don't know golf, that means that an issue of golf for years and years and years has been pace of play, okay? They have these large fields, sometimes 150 players. They start going off at 7 in the morning and they play until daylight breaks. Ours, we get them all out on the course at the same time.
I was reading
in a
about
different
this.
hole.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And so, and we can complete a round in 4 hours and 35 minutes. Okay, that's our average round. So it's great for fans. You'll see at our place a lot of families with little strollers pulling kids, because for 4 hours and 35 minutes we have a petting zoo. You can actually entertain the kids.
Yeah.
For 10 hours, a little, my kids are older now, but when they were little, a little tougher. So we have a shotgun start, which helps pace of play. From a broadcast standpoint, it's a bit challenging to explain. Okay, well, the 4th hole coming up for Dustin Johnson is one of the easiest scoring holes, and John Rahm's on 18. So what this does for our broadcasters is it is a little chat bot, and it's essentially here's what's happening, here's what you should be talking about, here's what's coming down the pike. It is from a broadcast, transformational in us being able to tell stories and keep fans listening and viewing, and make sure that we're delivering the right news at the right time.
It's like having a producer in your ear, but it's probably a little bit more insightful.
But a smarter one.
Yeah.
And in real time.
And in real time.
And you can ask questions and get the answers and responses you want. So it's been and listen, all this stuff's happening. We did the deal halfway through the season, and we are in very much a Salesforce and very much a live type way. We're kind of scrambling and building on the fly. So we're really excited about this off season now. Our season starts in February because we have time to make sure that it's firing on all cylinders.
And teams and athletes, for the history of sports, have always been looking to technology to try to enhance performance.
Yes.
And now we have artificial intelligence, and there's so much potential there. But like, where would you draw the line between, okay, this is good to enhance performance, and maybe this is almost like taking steroids, it's too far?
Oh wow, I never thought of it like that. I feel like golf, bringing team concept into golf has rounded some of these guys out a little bit. It's not so lonely anymore. And so they actually have a place to eat with friends. They oftentimes stay in houses with each other. Their caddies and families kind of know each other and travel together. We have very many geographically centered teams, like Stinger is South African, Ripper is Australian, Ironheads are Korean. So we have some kind of commonality, and I think every one of them will do anything they can to help their team. Okay. And one of those things is to optimize your performance. And I've been in this business 30 years. There's been an absolute transformation. When I came up through, it was like, I'll never forget, this is before your time, but Pearl Washington was this iconic basketball player out of New York, went to Syracuse, comes into the pros, and my first day was with the New Jersey Nets. He was at the hot dog stand getting a hot dog before the game. Okay, and I'm like, what world am I in? And now, these are finely tuned athletes. Even golfers, and you wouldn't expect that, but everything they do in terms of sleep, what they eat, how they exercise, there's all sorts of AI telling you like where you're most vulnerable for injury. I never thought golfers would be injured.
Oh, interesting.
But wrist,
for sure,
elbow, shoulders, back. So there's all kinds of ways that I think we can optimize performance.
It's funny you say this. My father-in-law's used to be a pro golfer, and we're talking McDonald's.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Top 75.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
So he used to eat McDonald's before his matches, would never stretch, there was no fitness regimen. It's amazing how much we've progressed.
And you look at Phil Mickelson, who's my age, he's 55, his body is like, he's a finely tuned athlete. And if you go back 20 years ago, he wasn't. He's actually created a wellness company. I mean, like these guys are really doing things differently. Now, how technology can help in that, like think about the precision you need in golf, okay? Like a 1 degree change in your club face changes the trajectory of the ball. A 1 degree this way changes where the ball goes. How high the ball is hit, the spin, the club speed, all this stuff is, I think this is a game that's made for AI. And there are all these variables that you can go to the range and hit for 2 hours, and then there are wind gusts blowing at 30, and that completely changes the direction of the wind, how it's coming in, what club you use, where you're hitting it higher, you're hitting it lower. I mean, I think this is the sport that's perfect for AI.
Have you seen athletes start to wear like augmented reality glasses to help them in the moment of the swing, try to figure out whether the tilt of the land is, and like what have you seen anything like that? Is that legal?
So it's happening a lot in professional football for quarterbacks right now, and for goalies in hockey. Makes sense, right? They want to understand the movement. For golf, they oftentimes either have a phone. They usually have a TrackMan or something behind them, and then a phone, and they'll literally hit the ball, and it's a perfect read on what's happening, and it measures all that stuff.
Okay.
So they have not. I don't see a lot with the glasses.
So Scott, can
Maybe
we talk about
putting? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe putting.
Putting.
I hadn't thought of that, but yes.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the business side a little bit? So being a challenger of a well-established incumbent is no small feat.
No.
What are the business priorities right now? Are you trying to get to profitability as soon as possible, or are there other things on the agenda that matter more?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to change the face of sports. And so if you follow baseball or football or basketball or hockey, you know that baseball is putting a runner on second in extra innings and have a pitch clock. Unthinkable. Basketball took away the hand check and started calling the game differently to bring the beauty and flow into the game. Hockey eliminated the penalty with a 2-line pass, and it created 3-on-3 overtime. And so golf is really, I think, ripe for change. So the one thing is, I think we have a bit of the moral high ground. The second piece, which I love, I'll answer your question directly in a second, but the second piece I love is the values of golf matter. Integrity, it's the only self-scoring sport. You'll see a guy sometimes nick the the sand on the way back and self-report and cost himself 2 strokes. Like, it's that kind of sport where integrity. If you play with me, resilience, because I'm in trouble all the time. You know, it's a sport that teaches resilience. Consistency. And then there's this notion of community. And so all of these things are the things the world needs. And so I feel like the more we do, the better we are. In terms of business, it's like we have to create a business, and that's why I'm here. You know, this is a business where we've got a pretty good structurally, some pretty high cost structurally, and we are not going to cut our way to success. We're going to sell our way to success. And this is a relatively simple business, like most sports businesses. You sell tickets, you sell premium. Our premium experience is amazing, by the way. You need to come to an event and bring your families. Nothing like it.
Yeah.
I'll get your contact info, we'll hook it up.
Yeah, please.
And then sponsorship is a big driver. Television is a big driver. And then there's like little merchandise and parking, some little things, food and beverage. But generally, like, we have to like build a business.
And so, like, as you're thinking about enhancing the experience, the viewership experience, not the live experience, but the at-home viewership experience for a new generation of golf lovers, how do you do that, and how do you use technology to do that?
Sure. I mean, one thing we've done using there's no touch, no human touch, all through AI. We have an any shot, anytime product on our app, which means you can literally watch any shot that anyone hits on a golf course for a tournament. It is amazing.
On demand.
All AI driven. Yes, on demand. Pretty incredible product. And then we have to we have to use Agentforce. We have to use the incredible technology that we're building through Salesforce to tell stories. Like, people fall in love with stories. I mean, you can go back to your early, do you have an early sports memory?
Yeah, I mean, basketball, I played a lot of basketball. Wasn't so good at it. That was probably an early memory. Yeah.
First early sports memory was probably soccer. Goalkeeper.
Oh, wow.
Turned in sick, so I had to sub for him.
Right.
I remember being very intimidated.
Idea. Yeah, so you have these, like, why sports is different is it gives you this you can't touch or feel. It actually can lift communities. You know, when a high school team wins the state championship, the whole community lifts up. And you're like, you take a step back, you're like, how is this possible? When the Golden State Warriors lit the world on fire, right, with the Splash Brothers, okay, it lifted the whole Bay Area. A basketball team, it's not logical, it doesn't make sense. And I think that the more we can storytell and have people fall in love with these guys and their stories and their grind and their families and their caddies, and technology enables us to do that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because Claire from F1 said the same thing, and I agree completely, especially in this era of AI, where you can create any type of content, and there's just so much out there. The human element, that story, wanting to learn about the professional, the human behind the athlete, that's very compelling to me.
And you match that with unscripted drama, because we don't know what's going to happen, especially in golf. You know, I'll tell you a quick story if you have the time. There's a Mexican golfer named Abraham Ancer, really good. He's about 35 years old, really, really good golfer. I believe it was at Valderrama, he was winning, he was up 4 strokes, comes down the stretch and just goes in the tank. Bogeys 3 of the last 5 holes, ends up finishing 4th after winning, leading for 2 straight days. And Sergio Garcia was a longtime player, you might recognize the name, is his captain of the Fireballs. Put his hand on his shoulder and was just talking to him in Spanish. I speak a little bit of Spanish. Talking to him in Spanish, essentially saying some version of, it's okay. This is how you build strength. This is the fuel. This will never happen to you again. Celebrate this time. Don't ever lose this feeling. And I was like, that's live golf. That's team golf. That's competition. That's compassion. That's storytelling. That's all that magic wrapped up to that one moment. And I feel like there's opportunities for us to tell those stories better.
Yeah. Have you? Are you a UFC fan?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I'm a huge UFC fan. And they have the Contender Series, and they have the Ultimate Fighter. Is Live Golf considering anything like that? I hate to call it a reality show, but it's something that really brings the human element for up-and-comers in the sport.
So we put one out this year, and this was one of my, maybe not my finest hour. We had something, I'm like, do it. It's not going to be perfect. Let's get the first season out, which we did. We put out 4 episodes of Live to Win, aired on FS1 in the US, and then around the world, and then YouTube, etc. And we didn't have Bryson DeChambeau in there. We didn't have John Rahm in there. We didn't have Phil Mickelson in there. It was our producer's effort to shoot something. And I'm like, you don't have to do proof of case with me. We're a 4-year-old league. Like, let's get the stars in the can and go. So season 2, it will be quite robust and hopefully break through.
When does that come out?
That comes out February 1st, I believe.
Great. So we're here at Dreamforce. You're right next door here. We have a golf simulator.
Have you been in? You got to go in and swing a club.
I think the three of us have to go in later.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a little long drive competition.
You have to show us a thing or two.
I have a feeling you might win. Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
I very much appreciate it. I wish you guys the best.
Yeah, you as well.
Go Salesforce.
Thank you. Yeah, my wife and I really have been experimenting with golf. We're trying to play it. We're both terrible.
Yeah.
And but it's one of those things. We get to do it together. It's outside, a little bit of exercise, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. But by the way, I realized that during that conversation, I may have threw my father-in-law under the bus with the McDonald's comment.
A little bit.
I apologize for that. But so he has been giving me golf gifts the last several years. So last year I got a driver, right? And so he's slowly nudging me into the golf arena, and I figured we just both have to do it.
Well, he wants to do that so he could just whoop you every time.
It is a power move, isn't it?
It's such a power move. It's come on, play this sport. This is awesome. It's a lot of fun, and then just wipes the floor.
And he's the athlete, so yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I want to take a look around us real quick.
Yeah,
just taking the environment here.
Yeah, so it was a completely overcast day throughout the morning. Then right when we kicked off the show, it became sunny. It's getting a little overcast now, but this is classic San Francisco October weather.
It really is.
Absolutely loving it, and cannot wait to bring on our next guest. I think he might be ready.
Who is our next guest?
Oh, I don't know. You might have heard of him. Our next guest will be on in 1 second. I'm getting a 1 minute warning. He's gonna be here in a sec, but yeah, we're bringing on Mark Benioff, the man himself. Bring him on in 1 second.
He's got the blue suit, looking classy.
Yes, sir. And speaking of suits, little story. We last night noticed the kind of Salesforce uniform, right? Nice shirt, nice jacket. So we had to go out last night. We got it together. Nice little bonding experience. Nick
Shout out to Macy's.
Sure. Yeah. Shout out to Macy's right down the street. Yeah. And now we got the classic Salesforce uniform.
Now we can do this every year.
Now we can do this. Yeah, it feels good. It feels right.
Indeed. So when Mark comes on, there's a lot we want to talk to him about. What do you want to start off with?
Well, I think, not to just blow smoke, but I think what I was most impressed with from his keynote was honestly just his energy. And after how many years? 21 years, I believe Salesforce has been around. He's been doing this so long, and his energy, his command of the stage, command of the audience was just beyond impressive. I know I kept nudging you, saying hey, that's great. Damn, how did he do that? So it was just really impressive. And obviously we need to talk to him about agents. We need to talk to him about Agentforce and everything else. So
he's also making a lot of contributions to San Francisco, the city.
Yeah, we're going to be asking about that. The energy change in San Francisco. And getting the nod. The man himself is going to be here. So here we go. Guest Mark Benioff. Mark.
All right, Matt. How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Nick, how are you?
Doing quite well. How are you, sir?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Great to be with you guys.
This is admittedly our first Dreamforce.
Wow. Where have you been?
Both embarrassed.
Yeah, super embarrassed. Kind of blown away by the scale of things.
So far?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole thing was extremely impressive. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I saw your keynote yesterday.
Oh, good. How was that?
Awesome. Do you have a figure robot, by the way?
I was just with 3 of them, actually.
Yeah?
Did you hear Brett Adcock's keynote?
No, we're going to have to rewatch that.
Well, he's talking about having an infinite number of sentient robots,
Are you going to have
self-replicating?
Sure.
And have you read the book We Are Legion, We Are Bob?
Yeah.
I mean, he's outlining the time frame, all the mechanics, how to get there. Everybody should watch what Brad Adcock said. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So do you have one, or do you plan to get one? And then what chore are you most excited to offload?
I don't have one yet.
Okay.
But I guess the number one thing that probably everybody wants is to clean my room up. That would be fantastic. Make my
dishes
bed,
for
do
me.
my laundry, do your dishes.
Yeah. So I want
Make me an omelet in the morning.
That'd be nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
Dinner.
Now you're talking. Actually, I've seen it. I've seen a lot of
Looks
these
like you're a
super-
ready customer.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
My
he
wife
may have
wouldn't
been a
be
little
so happy.
farther. I mean, he did Archer Aviation, which is the incredible electric, helicopter, airplane,
Yeah.
and then talking about how that's going to go autonomous. But then to hear how he leveraged that by taking the team from Archer and rapidly moving to Figure, and now in only 3 years has been
incredible.
able to deliver 3 versions of this robot, and
incredible.
he's getting ready to go to production. It's truly incredible.
So I want to talk about a lot of the announcements that you made, and I want to start with some of the partnerships that you announced. You announced a partnership with OpenAI, and I'm super curious about that. First, maybe just tell the audience what that partnership entails.
Well, number one, I think we've all been super impressed with ChatGPT. How many people don't just jump on that in the morning, ask a question? It's our super search. I mean, these large language models have evolved so far in 3 years. Gemini, ChatGPT, Anthropic, they're all amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, this is the brand that everybody seems to gravitate to. I remember the first time when I was spending time with Sam Altman about 3 years ago, looking at, the potential of what this was going to do. But now, for Salesforce, I'm like, wow, we can build this into our product at every level.
Yeah.
The first time I was with Sam, he was like, oh, Mark, I need to just show you something how I'm running OpenAI. It'd been about 8 years he'd been running the company. He opens his laptop, he had Slack. I'm like, well, what are you doing? He's like, this is how I run the whole company. I just run it only on Slack. So that's why we were so lucky to have Brad here, the COO of OpenAI, talk about how they run all of OpenAI on Slack, on our Sales Cloud, on our Service Cloud. They're a model for the agentic enterprise that we're kind of trying to prophesize here, how humans and agents are working together to create customer success. They're a model for me of how they're running their company, and now we're rebuilding all of our software kind of to reflect in a lot of ways how they've built their company, and we're going to bring it to all of these customers.
You were a huge champion of this shift to cloud, right? No software, that was very famous. And there seems to be a major transformation happening again in applications, in software. Where do you see Salesforce really kind of fitting into the future of the application layer? Especially if you look at the OpenAI partnership, you can start to query Salesforce records from within OpenAI. What is that?
That is awesome.
It is, and it's meet the customer where they are.
Yeah.
What does that dynamic look like over the next 18 to 24 months? How does Salesforce continue to evolve into this new agentic era?
Well, I think what you're saying is the key thing, which is, 26 years ago when I started Salesforce, I was at home, not so far away from here, 1449 Montgomery Street, on the top of Coit Tower.
I found out recently you grew up in San Francisco. We want to ask you about San
I'm
Francisco.
a 4th generation San Franciscan.
Unreal, yeah.
And I rented the apartment next to my house, and up there in Coit Tower, looking out, gorgeous view. And look, in the morning, what was I doing? Buying a book on Amazon, buying some shoes on eBay. I'm doing a Google search, kind of all the things I did this morning, actually. But now there's one other thing that I did this morning besides those 3 things. I also went to ChatGPT, and I actually asked questions of the people that I just did a couple of really amazing interviews. I interviewed Brad Adcock of Figure. I just interviewed His Excellency Minister Al-Sawa, of Saudi Arabia. And to prep for those interviews, I didn't talk to my team. I was just working with ChatGPT and saying, hey, I'm going to do these interviews. How should I think about this? What are the red lines? What are the green lines? Where do I go? Where do I not go? What's the best way for me to do this interview? It's actually a great use of a large language model. Now, large language models don't know everything, but they know some things. And all of a sudden you'll hit these barriers. I'm sure you've had the same experience, but wow, I was ready. And I was ready to go. I was prepped for the interview. That idea that now at home, I'm using AI, but now when I come to my office, am I also using AI? Am I able to have that same power when I'm running Salesforce?
Yeah.
Now, I am, because I have, here's my phone, and when I get on my phone, for me, I do have this thing called Slack, and I don't know if you use Slack or not, but
every day.
See right here, like I've got Slack, and then, if I want to go to Slack, and I can go to Agentforce, right? And then you can see I can say, oh, I just met this customer, and now I want to unlock this renewal opportunity. And now I'm working with this agent to run my business. Yeah. I'm going to unlock the renewal opportunity. I'm going to sell something to the customer. I'm going to service them, market. I'm going to do something in a new way. And all of a sudden what I have, you can see I've got dozens of agents here that I'm working with inside Slack. Well, in the same perspective, on another perspective, if I went to help.salesforce.com, you're going to meet another agent, and that agent is going to say, hey, what can I do for you? Well, I'm not sure exactly how to use Slack and configure it with Agentforce, and it's going to show you how to do that. And then at some point, if you get stuck, kind of like where I was this morning, where I had to call my employees to say, wait a minute, I got this far with the large language model, but I didn't get the whole way, then bam, I get escalated to a human. And that's about humans and agents working together. And that's really our vision that we're trying to unfold here at the show today.
Makes a lot of sense. So I was talking to one of your partnership folks yesterday, and we were talking about this exact thing. And ChatGPT is quickly becoming the window to the internet and now work. And we were at OpenAI Dev Day last week, and we saw the
That was awesome, wasn't it?
It was incredible. Spotify now and ChatGPT, Zillow now and ChatGPT, and now Salesforce. So we loosely categorized it as the difference between light work, maybe you're reviewing something, maybe you're verifying something, and deep work. Is that how you would?
How do I get one of those bottles of water that you guys have? So
this one is unopened.
Oh, all right, I'll take an unopened one. Fantastic, thank you.
So the difference between light work and deep work, is that how you would categorize it, where maybe I'm checking some things on Slack and that's light work, and then the deep work is I'm going into the Salesforce UI, the dashboard. Is that a fair assessment?
I mean, I think that it's really by use case. And I think, for example, let's talk about sales. Everybody knows our Sales Cloud. We have tens of millions of users on the Sales Cloud. And I'm managing my opportunities, I'm managing my contacts, I have all these incoming leads. In the last 20 years, 25 years that we've been running Salesforce, we did a calculation. Between 20 and 100 million people, we didn't call back.
That's wild.
We didn't have the people. I mean, it probably was great for our competitors, because there's nothing better for a competitor when we don't call back a prospect, but we just didn't have enough people. Even today, with 80,000 employees, I don't have enough people to call everybody back. So this week, our Sales Cloud, our sales agent, called back 50,000 customers, qualified them. Hey, how can I help you? Why are you contacting Salesforce? What can I do for you? What are you asking about? So in the example, like with the service case, where that help.salesforce.com is qualifying service, in the example of the sales case, it's automatically qualifying now, all these leads. In the case like where I just showed you on Slack, where I'm able to renew the opportunities, it just gets back to that flow. So rather than thinking about kind of light work, heavy work, I think you're going to find these agents are going to be persistent with us through our process, making our work just better, more effortlessly, keep us more in the flow. I don't think there's all of a sudden going to be there's an agent over here, but not over an agent over here. Yeah. It's going to be with us all the time. It's going to be persistent. And that, I think, is the real opportunity.
Got it.
I'm curious, so you obviously use ChatGPT for your personal life, and you've developed this shorthand, it learns about you, and then you come to work, and how do you think about the shorthand you've developed with your personal agent, and then kind of not having that same shorthand at work? Do you have to redevelop it in the context of work? Do you ever see a future in which it's the same agent across your personal life to your work experience?
These agents do get confused if you try to put too much into them. You probably already see this now when you're using ChatGPT. All of a sudden you'll ask it one question, but it's giving you an answer to something you talked about maybe yesterday. So there's going to be kind of this kind of kind of awkward transition time where we're still kind of segmented between maybe business and work, or even between sales and marketing and service.
Yeah.
And one example is, in my house, not so far from here, I have an Airstream trailer, and that Airstream trailer is connected to my house. I have solar panels on the roof, I have batteries, and I have a device from Eaton, E-A-T-O-N. It's this company, they make all these kind of electrical infrastructure. I have actually kind of connecting all the little devices in my house. And when the field service technician comes out to service, my house, he uses Salesforce. It's a company we have a great relationship with. We've had them for years. We run the sales organization. But then that field service organization, they come out with the phone. You can get this actually if you go to the App Store, as our field service app is on there. But now it's also Agentic. So if you had used the app 6 months ago, you'd just be looking at the system of record. Yeah. Your name, your address, the product I bought, when I bought it, the model number, maybe a link, to the FAQ, and you could see the service, and I saw it, the service technician is going through. It was fine. It was awesome for him because he's actually able to do all this incredible work, to solve it. Oh, wait a minute, I have to call headquarters. I'm not exactly sure about this. I'm going to call one of the engineers. I need to figure this out. Now there's one other person on there that he's going to check with. There's the Agentic layers built into the field service app.
Right.
And the conversation that he's having with that field service, agent, hopefully it's going to help him resolve his issue. Maybe he will have to escalate to a human. Regardless, all of that is going to then get put into the record, and it's going to become part of the system of record. So you can see it's kind of extended, and that's going to make for a better field service organization, a better customer relationship, a more efficient Eaton, a better company. I think that really works. It's happening in the flow of work.
So, okay, let's change topics for a second. I want to talk about San Francisco. You born and raised, which, by the way, I just found out. That's awesome. San Francisco.
4 generations of San Franciscans.
Have you felt a significant change over the last couple of years? So I used to live here for about 10 years. I left and I just moved back about a week ago. There is a palpable energy in the city that is so exciting, and I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be close to it again. Are you feeling the same thing? What are you seeing?
Well, I've been on this page for a while, which is that when people were moving out and different things are happening, we were still having our conference here. So if you were here last year, which you weren't here, or the year before that, which you weren't here, or even during COVID, conference was still here, even during COVID.
Yeah.
Only 1 year did we kind of have a little mini conference where we had to do it virtually. Otherwise, we did it here. The next year, we actually ended up testing everybody. We did it literally right where we're sitting. And then, if you look at what happened the last few years, we brought 50,000 people back. This is the largest tech and AI conference that you'll probably go to this year. It will be your largest conference in San Francisco, more than twice the size. Now let me explain to you why I think that is, because it's a metaphysical thing. There's a spirit of San Francisco, something amazing. This is the home of gay rights. This is the home of Levi Strauss, of The Gap, of Salesforce, the Summer of Love, Haight-Ashbury. There's a unique energy in San Francisco. You can go to every city in the world. I've been to every city in the world. I go to every city in the world all the time. There's no place like San Francisco. And because of that, it kind of has its own place, including it's the gold rush, and what's happening here with AI. This is not our first gold rush. I used to use that line with a cloud, by the way, and now I get to use it again for AI.
It seems like it is happening again. So many people that I know are moving back here.
Everybody's coming in with their pans. They're getting their blue jeans.
Now you got that picture in my head.
That's what they're doing, right? They're gold miners. They want to get their gold. And now some of them will stay and then some of them will leave. That's fine. And I just think this is a great city, but it is a spirit of adventure, of innovation. It's a spirit of freedom that is pervasive in San Francisco. And there's a lot of really good parts of that. There can be some parts that are not necessarily as good, but you're not going to get a more beautiful city. You're not going to get a better city. I'm happy that you're here and that you're also able to experience this energy now, because that's what we do here. We manifest it with this conference, and we've been doing that, by the way, for 23 years right here. We didn't move out. This conference has been here, so almost every other conference is left. Oracle is happening today in Vegas.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Every other conference kind of went to Vegas. Only one or two have come back. We never left. We're the biggest, and we never left. Now, to do that, there's things we've had to do to make it work. I can go through the deep mechanics, but you're going to have a very good experience while you're here. You're also going to have a very safe experience. We've hired more than 200 cops. I was on text with Gavin Newsom last night. He's got his special forces teams. You probably saw them out here when you walked in. You're probably like, whoa, what are these guys are hunting bears here? What's happening, right? Did you have that feeling?
It definitely feels secure.
You feel secure, you see what's going on, and that's extremely important part of it right now for San Francisco. So we're very happy to offer that to our customers.
So I know Salesforce and you personally have made some very generous contributions to the city. What are you hoping to do with that money? What are you hoping the impact will be?
Well, we've done more than $1 billion of local philanthropy, more than any company has ever done in the history of San Francisco, number one. Number two, we are the city's largest employer, and we also have the largest, tower here. No one has more employees than we have. We have 9,000 employees. Of our 80,000 employees are right here in San Francisco. As part of that, between my company and myself, we've also built 2 children's hospitals. That's been very important to us. We've done $150 million of philanthropy in the local public schools. If you come back and you put your kids in the local schools, you'll probably have a great experience. The school close to my house, this Presidio Middle School, where my mom also went to school, I just rebuilt the playground. When I got in there and dug up the asphalt, I had to call in a hazmat team because they found all kinds of stuff because nobody had dug it up since 1900, But this is what we like doing. We're mentoring in the schools. We've done 10 million hours of volunteerism all over the world, including 1 million hours right here in San Francisco. We have given away Salesforce almost $1 billion itself in grants, and we run 62,000 nonprofits and NGOs for free on our service. That's our 1-1-1 model.
Yep.
You probably know 19,000 other companies have also followed our 1-1-1 model that we created. You can find out about it at pledge1%.org. That's done about $3 billion of philanthropy all by itself. These are things that are very important to us, and giving back to San Francisco has always been a huge part, and no company has been able to give back at scale like we've done in every dimension.
Mark, I want to talk to you.
I'm very proud of that, so thank you for letting me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for letting me say that. I really appreciate it.
Let's talk about the future of work just for a moment. So
let's get back to AI. Okay. Great. Philanthropy. Move on. Children's hospitals. Great. Congratulations.
Well, we covered that. Now
AI. Let's get back to AI.
What's your favorite thing to do on the playground? Are you a seesaw guy?
If you want to go while you're here in San Francisco, and now that you're back here, you should go see this. My wife was the chairman of the Presidio, which is our public-private partnership with the federal government. We just built a new park here called the Tunnel Tops Park. If you haven't been out there with your family,
not yet.
I would highly recommend. If you don't, you're going to text me or send me an email. If it isn't the most beautiful park, most beautiful views, children's playground, restaurants that you've ever experienced anywhere in the world, let me know.
Presidio
I'll definitely put it up against the High Line in New York, and it's the same architect as the High Line.
Yeah, we love the Presidio. We want to build out our studio in the Presidio.
I would definitely do it.
We're actively lking to
I would
do that.
definitely do it.
I might have to take you up on that.
It was good enough for George Lucas. It'll be good enough for you guys, right?
Yeah. I have to bring it back to AI. That's what we're all about.
Of course.
Here. So as you're
enough about kids. Let's get back to AI.
We'll get back to the kids.
Enough about philanthropy. Enough about kids.
Forget about San Francisco. One more thing.
Talk to me about the future of work. This is the last thing I want to ask you about. Where do you see humans being in kind of the, whether you're thinking it's going to be mostly middle to middle artificial intelligence or fully end to end? How do you see the future of work changing? How do you see white collar jobs changing over the next few years?
Look, I think that this is a great question. Now, you saw in the keynote I laid out the vision for the Agentic enterprise. and all the different pieces of the agentic enterprise that Salesforce is going to play in, sales and service and marketing, even supply chain, analytics, Tableau, our agent fabric, integration, Informatica. I mean, it was a long list. We could go through all of those. But, you know, when we all leave and go back to the office, and I go back to the office on Monday, I'm running my company. Today we have more employees than we've ever had, but they aren't in the same places because I am customer zero of our product. So as I said on service, you know, we have this new agentic layer on service. Well, we have less service people than we did a year ago. And we've delivered 1.6 million conversations in the last 9 months to our customers in person, face-to-face, and on the phone with our human service force. But we've also delivered with the same CSAT score, 1.6 million conversations with that auto escalation capability and our omni-channel supervisor with the agentic capability. But number two is we have more salespeople than we've ever had. Because, well, like what we're doing, there's no agent here, it's not talking to me. Maybe next year, the Figure robot will be asking me questions also, or like, you know, I was doing this morning, I was just talking to, you know, the LLM trying to prep myself. Sales and communication and explaining these very technical pieces like we're going through right now, it's still very much face-to-face. And even when we talk about the LLM coding and doing all these things, I think we all realize we're getting more efficiency and productivity, but we're still in the loop.
Yeah.
And we're going to be in the loop for some time. Even though I'm about to do an interview with Dario, I already know what Dario is going to say. We all could do the interview.
He's less bullish on that.
We could all do the interview. But when I say, oh, Dario, this is great, you built this new software, is this going production? Are you using this production? And he runs his company on Slack like OpenAI does. We're not at that point. We have to be realistic. And these things are good for many things, but these things are not good for everything. And we're just not at that point in the technology. And it's not anything that anyone here doesn't know because we're all using it every day. Yeah. And the reason why is because large language models are built on language and words. It's that hyperlink structure is only going to get us so far, and we need to get to a new model, or maybe what we call a new world model. So maybe it goes from, we're going to add an L into word and make it world. And that's kind of the vision of Fei-Fei Li, who was Dario's professor at Stanford, and also is the wife of our head of research at Stanford, Silvio.
Just talking.
That's what dinner was like.
Amazing, right? Amazing.
Such a nice guy.
You know, her vision and his vision, which is, look, we have to be realistic about what large language models can do, and then we can also get excited about new world models, and then there's another model coming, because the history of AI is this model to that model to this model to that model to this model to that model. And we are on the backs of many shoulders and people who have done incredible work over time, who have given us 50, 60, 70 years of research of AI, and there's still a tremendous amount ahead.
Yeah.
We're not at AGI, we're not at ASI. People don't even want to use the AGI term anymore. You know, AGI had been defined as kind of a self-engineering, self-creating.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need, it's modifying. We know that that's not what's happening with the AI today, right? So we're not at AGI. It's not there. It's not the, you know, this book, We Are Bob, you know, We Are Legion, where the robot is conscious and launches itself off, you know, into space and then is self-replicating. Yep. That's what Brett Adcock was just talking about in the keynote. An infinite stream of, you know, autonomous, you know, robots that are self-replicating in outer space. It's an incredible book, and he believes that that's 100% in our short-term reality. But if you've been watching the live stream, there's no robots walking by.
Right.
They're here.
Yeah.
But he believes that very shortly there'll be more robots walking by here at Dreamforce than humans.
Are you excited
in his
about
mind? But we can see, and in our own eyes, that's not where we are today.
Right.
So we need to be realistic. we need to also be conscious. We also need to realize this is a moment where, at the time when everything is so abundant, let's also give back to everybody who isn't getting as much, and that's why I am excited about the Children's Hospital and this public schools, the public hospitals, the public parks.
Thank you for bringing it back to the kids.
That when you come back, hopefully it's a better San Francisco than when you left.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I hope that we did a small part of that. And obviously we have a role in that, and I think that our work speaks for itself in terms of how much work we have done in the city over 26 years is well documented.
Yeah. Well, Mark, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you.
Great to be with you guys.
We'd love to keep
coming here. I hope you're going to come back next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And encourage your viewers and your fans. And I watch your stuff on YouTube. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
I hope that you'll come back and be part of Dreamforce and be part of, we call it our Ohana, or it's a Hawaiian word for family. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks,
Great
Mark.
to be with you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Good
you,
chatting
Mark.
with you. All right. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Go
Please.
ahead. It's all yours. I'm not sure, but I think he may be trying to replace us with a figure robot.
It's so interesting. By the way, if you haven't read that book, it is quite good.
Yeah. I just added
We Are
it.
Legion, We Are Bob. Yeah.
It's on my list.
Totally. Self-replicating robots is basically everything we think about, everything we like to talk about every day. That is what that book is about. And I want to see some humanoid robots walking around Dreamforce next year. I want to see them walking around San Francisco. I definitely want them in my house. I know I'm probably slightly in the minority on that opinion.
Yeah.
I know my wife does not want that.
Therefore, it will not be in your house.
No, for sure it's not going to be in our house. Hopefully it'll be in my office at the very least.
So if a robot did make it in your house, let's say hypothetically, what do you think the transition period would look like?
For me, instant.
Instant?
I've been trying to get a humanoid robot. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of it now. Unitree. I've been trying to get a Unitree robot, one of the humanoids, either one of maybe the dog form factor robots.
Sure.
I don't know. I wanted to just walk around the property, guard the property.
Yeah.
I think there's something cool there. Strap a flamethrower on the back.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Why not go full Mad Max here? Yeah.
What's happened to Boston Dynamics, by the way? I think we need someone from Boston Dynamics on the show because I don't hear their name anymore.
I still see the demo videos. They are coming out with some cool stuff.
All right.
Certainly, you're hearing a lot more fanfare or kind of a noise from Tesla with Optimus. You're hearing a lot from Figure. It is very, very
Unitree,
exciting.
All right.
Yeah, so we have another amazing guest right after this. He needs another minute, so we'll give him another minute.
But this is Paul Smith, Chief Commercial Officer from Anthropic. Now, he's only been there for 3 months, so it's going to be interesting to get his perspective on the international expansion. It's going to be interesting to understand why he decided to come over to Anthropic. There's lots of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, he was also at Salesforce for a while.
Yeah.
So he has some insight into what the future of SaaS is looking like and stuff we like to talk about all the time.
Yeah, indeed. So, Matt, what do I have to do to get you to Metallica tonight? On the spot.
Yeah, I could look. I like Metallica, but I'm also an old man. I like quiet, don't like crowds.
All right, I'll live stream it for you.
Yeah,
I'll give you. The
you know what? Maybe I'll end up going just because you're asking me live on the show.
Yeah. The
I have to
pressure's
go.
on.
Yeah, it is cool. And then Benson Boone. I know you're a big Benson Boone fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So two incredible concerts. We'll see. Hard to choose.
Let's bring them on.
All right, our next guest, Paul Smith, Chief Commercial Officer at Anthropic. Paul, welcome.
What's up, Paul?
Oh, that pin.
Great to
I
see
need
you.
that pin.
You can have this one.
Oh, that's amazing.
How you doing?
Welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
All right, almost everybody who watches this show knows what Anthropic does, knows all about it. So, but talk to me. What is your role as Chief Commercial Officer at Anthropic?
Yeah, so I joined Anthropic 2 months ago as Chief Commercial Officer. Before that, a long time in the enterprise software industry. And so my role is really, how do we fully commercialize all of the brilliant innovation that's coming out of the R&D team, while also staying very true to the principles of how do we put safe, trusted AI into as many people's hands as possible. But in my case, how can we help the enterprise adapt safe, trusted AI and go faster?
Do me a favor, pull that mic a little bit closer to you, just so people at home can hear.
So there are a lot of obvious reasons to join Anthropic. There's momentum, they're creating innovative technology. Why did you personally decide to join?
Well, there's a common thread, right, which is I've spent a career that I was about to name in years, but then it makes me feel way too old when I do that.
No judgments here.
30 years. And in all of that, the common thread is, how could I personally help enterprises, Fortune 500, Fortune 2000 companies adopt digital transformation, navigate through all the technology shifts that we've seen in that period of time? And then I was spending the last 3-4 years really looking at how to reinvent the modern enterprise and the modern enterprise software company to be more AI first, and to really, again, help that next phase of transformation. But the more I was doing it, the more I realized that I actually wanted to be in one of the frontline model providers and really be at that absolute frontier of research, just because the innovation flywheel is spinning so quickly. And I thought there was some value I could add, having been, had that front row seat to how enterprises use and consume and adopt technology through various technology waves. How could I bring that experience to bear and help them really adopt safe, trusted AI at the greatest rate they can?
That innovation flywheel that you're talking about, that's the reason we have a job. There's always a story to cover. There's always something to talk about.
I think the flywheel is going even faster. Like, it's a number of the conversations I've been having here, it's actually turning faster than ever.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, you've been in enterprise software for a long time. It seems like with the advent of generative AI really taking over at the end of 2022, we're seeing this massive change in not only software, but more specifically SaaS.
Yeah.
And so, like, what are you seeing? Where do you think SaaS is going? Do you think agents all the way down? What does that look like in the future to you?
So, I'm very excited about what we're doing with Salesforce. I think they're being very forward in terms of Agentforce, but also in terms of how they're partnering with frontier model companies like Anthropic. So, we've got a deep partnership with them. We started out by how do we bring our models to Slack and bring frontier intelligence to Slack. Now they're using Claude Code for 16,000 developers inside of Salesforce to effectively get that innovation flywheel moving even faster. But then I think the piece that we announced yesterday, which I do think is indicative of where we can go in partnership with enterprise SaaS, is they have now selected Claude as the preferred model inside their trusted boundary. So particularly for heavily regulated industries, financial services, healthcare, certain public sector, government use cases. Which means that if you're a customer and you want to trust, firstly, that you're working with a model provider that isn't going to retain your data, isn't going to train the models on the data, that Salesforce isn't going to do the same. And I think the values between Anthropic and Salesforce are very aligned from that regard. But in this case as well, all of your data just resides inside that same virtual private cloud. And so I think what you will see in enterprise SaaS is you will see them using various models of different sizes and weights, various model providers to fuel some of their underlying innovation. But I'm excited where you actually then start to partner in a more meaningful way, where we proactively lean in together, and how can we unlock all of the innovation inside a frontier model provider like Anthropic? How can we really expose our roadmap and our flywheel and what's coming over the horizon, marry that up with what Salesforce are doing? And so rather than just be a provider to that, really kind of lean in together and create some unique joint products, candidly, for the benefit of our customers.
And how much of your focus is companies being built on top of Anthropic's core intelligence versus a company kind of consuming it and using it for making their work more efficient? Like, what does that balance look like in your role?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, right? And that I very much see this evolution is continuing to take place. And it's not from one to the other, it's all additive, right? So if you think about the growth curve and the revenue curve of Anthropic, clearly a lot of early adoption were startups and digital native businesses building on top of the API. And that continues to be a very, very, very significant part of our business. And that's anyone, you know all of these .ai companies that we can talk about every single day. It could be the Curses of the world, it could be the Replits of the world, and then a whole range of others. And then the digital native businesses as well. But then increasingly now, I'm having a lot of direct conversations with Fortune 500 companies that want to, as well as, so it's additive, as well as have a direct relationship with Anthropic. And so you're going to start to see large enterprises that will come to us and they'll have a first-party relationship with us for Claude Code, and they'll be rolling Claude Code out to 10,000, 15,000, 25,000 internal software engineers, and they will be continuing to use Agentforce for customer service, for how can they help their sales pipeline mature faster. And they'll be continuing to take, I would say, domain-specific solutions from a Harvey or a Decagon or something like that. And so I see an enterprise will be consuming frontier models like Anthropic and Claude in a number of different surfaces, and I think that's a very good thing.
And a continuation of that, there was this meme that went around a few months ago where you would see, okay, 0 to 100 million ARR for a business, and then you pull back the mask and it's a $120 million Anthropic bill. And so I want to use that meme as a jumping off point to talk about what the actual business fundamentals of a company that is built on top of Anthropic looks like. Are you seeing highly profitable businesses consuming inference at high scale right now?
Yes, we are. I mean, I think I'm a fan of companies consuming a lot of the Claude API.
Sure.
But to your earlier point, I think the ROI is now becoming very, very much more clear. Yeah, I can think of a number of organizations now that are working with us, and they're doing things like customer care in telcos, and these are basically 9-figure multi-year solutions that you've got a major enterprise like one of the world's largest telcos paying in order to drive real value. Likewise, some of the world's largest banks doing things around know your customer and using a combination of us directly and some more niche providers, or more domain-specific providers, I should say. And so I think that, because one of the things I'm always asking our teams is, where is the money ultimately flowing from? And that this can't just be a model company selling to a startup which is selling to another startup, and in this kind of circular economy divorced from the real world. That's why I'm very pleased that the revenue that we've derived at Anthropic is durable revenue that is coming from companies that are ultimately selling to an end user that has a viable revenue stream, that might be a bank, that might be a fund.
Gears and talk about playbooks, and there's a couple different versions of what a playbook might mean. The first is your international expansion playbook. I want to get into a lot of details there, but let's table that just for a second. Google, OpenAI, they have these viral moments because of their video models and their image models, and that doesn't seem to be something that Anthropic has tapped into quite yet. And my hunch, or my assumption here, is that it's because you are focused on enterprise security, safety, those types of things.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Can you walk us through that decision-making process?
It is very accurate. So it is a very deliberate focus that we have on the enterprise. The enterprise in all its forms, right? Whether we're talking like traditional Fortune 500, enterprises like Salesforce, and enterprise solutions for other startup businesses out there. So that's a very, very clear focus. I think we're growing the fastest now of any frontier AI company in absolute terms, and we're also growing the fastest in terms of our enterprise revenues as well. So that very unconflicted focus on the enterprise is working. Yeah. We also, I would say, have very collaborative partnerships with the likes of AWS and GCP as well. I speak to them every single day. We are going to market together. And that brings significant scale and unlocks a lot of coverage across enterprises of all shapes and sizes as well. And it truly is a harmonious partnership. We're not trying to go around each other, and we're very, very clear in that and very deliberate in that. I think as well, the leadership that we've created with Claude Code and Sonnet 4.5 very recent release, fantastic release in terms of the world's best model for coding.
It's the go-to model on our team, just so you know.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. And and we're continuing that just this morning with the launch of Haiku 4.5. So again,
Congrats.
punches way above its weight in terms of intelligence, but again, satisfies another part of the market. But when you have that base in coding, it means that you can then go and work with an enterprise, and an enterprise will go, okay, I now want to put Claude Code in the hands of my 10,000 software engineers. Great. And Claude Code, an agentic coding harness. But then the natural thing that happens after that is, okay, I've done that, and what are the things that these developers are working on? Well, they're working on transforming this line of business process. And then how do I then start to use Claude and start deploying other agents across the enterprise to do things like fraud detection at Commonwealth Bank? How can I do, KYC in a much more simplified way for Global Investment Bank? I'm a pharma company. I have a lot of software engineers. They're all using Claude Code. And now I'm Novo Nordisk, and how can I reduce my drug development life cycle by basically getting rid of all of the crushing manual documentation analysis part of that cycle and knock 3 months off the end of it. So there is a definitive play, and we can talk about the international piece in a moment, but there is a definitive play inside the enterprise, which is you leverage your strengths, Claude Code, and then how does that then extend across the wider enterprise? And then you start to create this flywheel of just solving the next business problem, and solving the next business problem, and solving the next business problem.
You said something. You said unconflicted, and I want to touch on that for a moment, because I've been asking a lot of founders this lately. Folks who are built on OpenAI, and all of a sudden OpenAI releases a consumer product that competes directly against them, and all of a sudden there's this severe platform risk. Has that been an intentional decision to stay away from launching all of these new products so you can specifically serve and be unconflicted with how you serve your clients?
So I think it's a dual thing. Like, number one, we want to be unconflicted. So when someone works with us, they can trust that they're working with us as an enterprise AI provider to drive their success. It's not about us, it's about how do we put the tools in their hands to make their business more successful. Whether that is a startup built on top of Anthropic and Claude, or whether it is a Fortune 100 software company or bank, how do we make them more successful? It's a very, very conscious decision in that regard. I think the other thing, though, is to do that focus on the enterprise. It sounds obvious, but you need to know the enterprise, and you need to have that focus, because there are things that you just need to do in terms of safety, in terms of explainability and interpretability of the models, in terms of complying with all of the various regulatory aspects. And I don't believe you can do that if you're conflicted and pulled in all of these other different directions. If I look right now, some of our fastest growing segments are the heavily regulated segments, right? It's banking, it's insurance, it's healthcare, it's life sciences. And again, this is one of the things that drew me to Anthropic, is when I've worked for a number of great CEOs. I think I'm sat in the seat that one was just in just a moment ago.
Well known.
Yeah, I've got to raise it for me. I'm not as tall as him. But then when I met Dario and Daniela, their focus on the mission, Safe Trusted AI, was just so clear. That is their focus. But you need that in the enterprise, because if you're a bank, you are not going to trust the AI to go and run a very significant part of your business unless you share the same values, and you also know that trust and safety are some of the fundamental DNA and building blocks of the technology that you're using. And so what am I saying there to summarize that? It's yes, it's an intentional focus, because that is what we want to do, and the focus does require energy and effort, and I don't want to diffuse that energy and effort over a number of other topics.
Yeah. When you see Sora skyrocket to the top of the App Store, that obviously creates a ton of reach, a lot of eyeballs on that, and that's beneficial. But to your point, is that in conflict with what you all are trying to achieve in the enterprise? Safety, security. So it makes complete sense. If you have something to say, go for it. But I do want to move on to international expansion.
No, I think it's just the focus thing. That's a particular play and a particular approach.
Totally.
And we're not going to get involved in that, A, because of the core mission around safe and trusted AI, but B, it distracts us from basically serving customers like all of these.
Yeah. International expansion, y'all have tripled your international workforce, I believe. That's obviously to fuel the expansion. Can you just walk us through, in practice, what does this look like? Boots on the ground? What does the playbook look like?
So it is boots on the ground. It has to be. If you are dealing with a major enterprise, then they want to see the team that's going to be managing them, right? And they want, the number one question that comes out of any meeting I have is, this is great, this is amazing. Can we also have your applied AI team, our FDE team? So can we have an applied AI team member on site working with us, basically helping our teams create that flywheel of innovation, unlocking different use cases? That means I need a team in the UK, I need a team in France, I need a team in Germany, I need a team in India, like we announced last week, where Dario and I were. And then Japan, we've already opened that office, and then others will follow. Now, what I'm not going to do is build the traditional go-to-market army that scales almost linearly with revenue. That's a model that Mark has pioneered incredibly well, and it works incredibly well for an organization like Salesforce. The way I'm really focused is, how do we scale through partners like Salesforce? How do we scale through partners like you saw the big announcement, Deloitte rolling out Claude to 470,000 employees in 150 countries. Very deliberate, because even though I'll continue to scale my go-to-market team and put feet on the ground in all of these countries, I still can't keep up with the customer demand, but nor am I going to build a massively scaled organization. I want to scale through partners, like the Deloittes of the world, like the Slaloms of the world, and various others. So that's also going to be an important part of this.
I want to end on a question about safety. So Anthropic is very big on safety. You put out incredible research papers, but of course there's been a lot of talk about regulation and too much regulation harming the startup ecosystem. What is Anthropic's, or maybe if you can speak for yourself and Anthropic more broadly, what is that thought and take on people saying that too much push for regulation is going to hurt the innovators, the new companies, the founders who want to build something incredible?
Yeah, I think we've always been very transparent in what we're looking for there, and someone like Jack, one of our co-founders, and some of the comments he made yesterday, I think he said everything to be said on that. We don't want to be a bottleneck on any innovation at all, and we want safe and trusted AI, and I think those two things go entirely well together, right? In terms of, you can have safe, trusted AI and an incredible amount of innovation. And I think the enterprise examples are actually really testament to that, in terms of, if you think about some of what Dario, Daniela, and the other founders did at the very start, was really building Anthropic and putting constitutional AI in at the very, very start, in terms of a set of principles that Claude relates to before giving an answer, so it's never going to take you down a path that's dark and that might get you in trouble with your employees, your customers, or a regulator. There is overhead associated with that at the start, but then ultimately it makes the tool that you're putting in the hands of an enterprise safer for the enterprise to use, which means their deployment can actually go faster and their innovation flywheel can go faster. Things that we're working on, like mechanistic interpretability, like an MRI scan that peers into the brain of Claude and how it's making decisions. Now, that is all about safety and governance, but at the same time, it's exactly what a bank needs. It's exactly what a healthcare provider needs in order to demonstrate how the model is making the decision it makes to satisfy the needs of a regulator in order to put more innovation in the hands of customers and consumers. So the two go together. The investments in safety actually ultimately drive increased adoption and innovation downstream.
Yeah. Paul, I know we're coming up on time here. I'm trying to get Matt to Metallica tonight. Are you going? What's the plan?
Man, I've got to be honest, I'm not going, but I'm only not going because I'm hosting my customer advisory board this evening as well. Otherwise, I absolutely would be going to Metallica tonight, just as I've done at many Dreamforces previous. So you should go.
Paul, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to spend time with you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
gentlemen.
a lot.
See you.
Really appreciate the time.
Man, you are really digging in on the Metallica thing. You really want me there, huh? Yeah, all right. I'll have to probably do it. So our next guest, let's bring him right up. Chris Rasmussen, CTO of Figma. Chris, come on up. Chris, very nice to meet you.
How you going, Chris? Meet you, Nick. Nice.
Please come
Nice to
sit.
meet you
Pull
too.
that mic right up. All right, Chris, welcome to the show. I want to start with a new product that I believe recently launched, Figma Make.
That's right, yeah.
Talk to us. Explain for those who don't know what it is. Explain what that is, why it's important.
Yeah, well, maybe to take a step back real quick, just tell people what Figma is, and then we'll talk about how Figma
I
makes it.
guess I
about
just
Figma.
assumed everybody knew. That's actually a good call.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah. So
What is Figma?
we're a design and product development platform, and we're used by teams all around the world to design and ship software. So, for example, if you've ever hailed a ride in Uber or even prompted inside of Anthropic Claude, then you've used software that's designed on our platform.
And recently went public.
We recently went public. That's right.
Very
yeah.
nice. Congratulations.
How was that experience, by the way?
It was super exciting, but that's just a point in time, and we're focused on the future.
Oh, fair enough.
That's a good answer.
Did
there.
you ring the bell, though? Who rang the bell?
I think officially Dylan got to ring
Yeah,
the
fair
bell,
enough.
but I did
Yeah.
get to stand up. there
Okay.
with it. It was
Oh,
a lot of
that's
fun.
amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so talk
back
to us
to-
about Figma Make.
Yeah, so Figma Make is our way of basically breathing life into designs with AI. So people use Figma Make on our platform to take experiences that are already designed in Figma, and then with a prompt, they can actually turn that into a functional prototype or even ship it directly to the web as like a production experience.
Yeah. Okay, and like, how do you think about competing with traditional coding or even frontier models as they're building some of this functionality into their products? How does Figma Make kind of plant your flag in the design realm?
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, we're super excited about the progress from frontier models. Every time they get better, Figma gets better as well. And so we're definitely embracing those models, and Figma Make is itself powered by Anthropic's Claude models. But the way we think about it is, right now there's a lot of different point solutions from going from prompt to existing code base or new code base. But ultimately, when you start with just a prompt and you end with the prompt, you're giving up a lot of other things that we as creators and makers traditionally have done and like to continue to do to actually really bring craft into these experiences. And so what's different about our platform versus all these point solutions is that we integrate this new technology into an ecosystem of other products and services. And so, for example, in Figma Make, what you can do is you can actually start with a prompt, but then you get a design out of that and a code base, and you can bring that design into Figma. You can riff on it using all of our freeform design tools. You can align with your team around which direction you want to go, and then you can bring that context back into Figma Make very quickly and let the model run with it. And so we're trying to kind of collapse that process and bring in this entire ecosystem.
Do you see the role of the developer and the role of the designer converging at some point? It seems like they're getting closer and closer to each other with all of this innovation. How do you think about that?
Yeah, we definitely see a lot of role blending out there. I think this is something actually we've always embraced internally as a company too. Like, we started by bringing design to the web so that we could make it much more collaborative and really embrace the fact that design doesn't just happen and then engineering happens. It's this kind of constant iterative process where you go back and forth. And I think that we've been trying to push the boundaries of how people collaborate for over a decade now, and AI is an accelerant to all of that, right? It enables designers to wield code as like a superpower, and enables engineers and PMs and other people to express their ideas visually as well.
Yeah. On a personal note, real quick, I used to use Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, and as soon as I transitioned to Figma, I felt like an actually like semi-competent designer. Not good, but competent enough to get by. And so really just making all of these tools more accessible, no matter where your skill set lies.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that I'm ever going to be the best designer at Figma by any means.
Yeah.
But I can save a design team a lot of time by being able to create my own ideas visually, so that they can then take the best versions of those to the next level.
Let's talk about design as a career. There's kind of this binary opinion where, for developers, some say it's the best time in history to be a developer. Others say maybe don't go learn that in college. How do you feel about the design career with this latest wave of generative AI?
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, I think that what everyone should embrace right now is being a maker, right? Like, we all want to be able to do more, And I think traditionally it's just been daunting to figure out how to kind of span the spectrum of all these different domains and tools and whatnot. And if anything, like the technology is breaking down a lot of those barriers. I think that, in many ways, as a result of this democratization of coding, we're seeing that the actual value is moving back up stack to what traditionally might be associated with design processes, right? So these coding models in some cases are turning code into an implementation detail. They're enabling you to express like fully functional prototypes much more quickly than you ever could before, which makes it all the more important that we have surfaces and experiences to share those ideas and those prototypes with our team, so we can align on what the best versions of those are and actually bring those to life. We can only bring so many things to our users without creating a bunch of slop and a bunch of confusion, and so we really need some way to align on these things. And
I'm so glad you said the word slop, because I want to ask about that. I mean, with all of the AI image models, we're seeing this proliferation of AI slop, and it just seems like the skill set of curating an incredible experience, taste, design, that human element is becoming more important. Like, do you agree? And if so, how do we continue to facilitate more people learning how to do that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, right? Like, there's always been a lot of developers in the world, maybe not as many as we wanted, but there's been a lot of people who can code and create experiences. That does not mean that every experience that was ever created was impressive or, won over every other experience out there. And I think now, as more and more people are able to use this technology to become makers themselves, it's really forcing all of us to think about how do we actually design these experiences intentionally and actually stand out in this sea of,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm so interested in this. Is taste, is having a design eye inherent? Is it something you're just born with? Is it something you can learn? Because if that skill set becomes so much more valuable with AI, does that just mean there's fewer people who can do it in total?
Yeah, I'm not the best designer myself. I'm definitely still an engineer at heart, so I'm probably not the best person to speak to this, but my experience at Figma is that designers do so much more than what people typically associate with design, right? Yeah. I think that the visual side of design is just a small component of it, especially when you're designing digital experiences. A designer is actually thinking about the overall system that they're creating. They're thinking about the mental models that they're expecting their users to understand and develop. And they're thinking about the emotional response people are going to have when interacting with the software. And so I think it's an incredible skill, and I aspire to get better at this myself.
I was wondering, because I kind of look at something, I know if I like it or not. I'm not a designer. I don't think I have a good taste. I mean, my wife would certainly agree. So I'm just trying to figure out if it's a skill set that can be learned like many others.
I think it can be learned, yeah. I think some people are naturally better at it than others, but ultimately, like any other skill set, it can be learned. And I think that AI is helping people get a little bit further, not necessarily getting to the level of the best designers out there, but helping them visualize their own ideas, communicate more clearly, and then work with the professional designers and organization to build better experiences.
But what I think I'm hearing from you is, if you're a systems thinker, if you have empathy, you can put yourself in the customer's shoes and understand what they're going through to get through a sign-up flow or interact with a website, whatever it might be. Like, those are really the skills that are going to be valuable in this future. Is that fair to say?
I think those skills have always been valuable, and it's just been hard for everyone to pay attention to all things at once when they're just trying to figure out how to, let's say, learn to code or something like that, or they're way down in the details of an implementation, which also matters. So I think that what AI is helping all of us do is focus on what matters at any given time. Yeah. That's not to say that, for example, I'm not paying attention to the performance of our database. I still have to care about that. I still have to provide input into that. But I don't have to, let's say, using a coding model, spend quite as much time fixing that myself as I would then get the time back to go think about the higher level experience that I'm creating for the user.
Got it. So very, very excited to ask this question, because as the CTO of Figma, you sit in such a unique place. And so I'm curious, what are the challenges that you're really sinking your teeth into right now? What are you excited about in the coming months that Figma's building? Just walk us through a little bit of your day-to-day.
Yeah, there's a few things we're working on. So we're always trying to meet users where they're at, and we have a lot of users on our platform, and so we're trying to build better experiences for designers. We're trying to bring the superpower of code directly within Figma with Figma Make and other experiences inside of our platform. But then at the same time, we're also thinking about existing code bases and all of our customers that already have these incredible experiences and applications out there, and how can we actually bring the context that their designers are creating in Figma directly to those code bases and the other tools that they use to interact with them. And so one of our initiatives I'm really excited about is our MCP server. Everyone's excited about their MCP server right now, but this is kind of like at the heart of what we've been doing for a long time, right? We've been helping companies curate and align on the visual context and the experiences, like the rules around the experiences that they want to create inside of their software, and then working with developers to figure out how to convey that as efficiently and quickly to developers as possible. And now with AI and MCP servers, we can actually just give that context directly to these coding agents and enable people to translate designs to code, but actually reuse existing code at the same time. So that's super exciting to me.
Can you walk us through some use cases, some examples of what that looks like in practice?
Yeah, I mean, so actually one of the customers that is using this is Anthropic. And so, they'll design experiences inside of Figma, they'll mock up, different versions and different directions they could go. And then the development team will then take the context from those designs, for example, the Figma URL, they'll use, say, like Microsoft's GitHub Copilot, and they'll feed that URL into Copilot. It'll then ping our MCP server, pull that context in. It'll also understand how that code relates to code they've already written, reconcile it with our code base, and just more automatically translate that design into working code.
I want to continue, as a technologist yourself, as the CTO of this company, what you think the future of software is going to look like. There is, I think Elon Musk has talked about macro hard, and there's this notion that maybe software really just becomes an end-to-end neural network. Every pixel on your screen, down to the operating system level, becomes generated. Let's think about the future for a moment. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's inevitable? If not, why?
Yeah, I'm surprised you went there. That was something I was thinking about talking about, so I'm glad you went there so quickly.
Incredible.
So I think that I think it is possible, right? So I definitely don't want to deny that that's possible. I think in that world, it makes a lot of the things that we're talking about here all the more intuitive, right? If you actually end up in this extreme where there's no longer software defining the experiences that we as users experience, then all you're left with is context and taste, right? It's no longer about the code. It's about what you actually want these models to actually output. And so I think theoretically that is possible. There's a lot of things that are going to make it hard to get there very, very quickly, I think. I think that at the end of the day, to solve that problem, we have to solve a lot of performance problems inherent in these models right now. And we also have to figure out what design means in a world where you no longer have code in between. And I think that's a super fun problem to think about and a very exciting opportunity.
Yeah, me personally, I think it seems like it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Obviously, there needs to be a solution for consistency across software, for guardrails. But you did bring up design, and I think in that, kind of bringing it back to the human element once again, which by the way seems like a theme throughout this entire episode. As AI continues to proliferate, the human element, the human experience is paramount. How do you, in this world, in the future, facilitate great taste, create great design? What does that look like in a world of end-to-end neural networks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in order to, great design is in some ways objective, but in some ways subjective and situational, right? It's context-based. Great design for Salesforce may not be the same as great design for, let's say, Anthropic, because everyone, has their own opinions and their own kind of constraints that they're optimizing for. And so I think ultimately great design comes from exploration, right? We have to kind of understand the context and build shared mental models. We have to manage each other's expectations, because ultimately we're building these things in service of ourselves and other humans. And then we have to align on these kind of concrete directions that we can all wrap our own heads around, not just that the model can wrap its heads around, so that when we're interacting with this software, we do so in a predictable way that preserves the identity of the person or the company that created it. So I think a lot of it comes back down to collaboration and also just making sure that we have a space to align visually and quickly on the directions we could go.
So I think Matt might be a little bit better than I am at imagining what this new world could look like. Neural networks, maybe call it UI on demand, whatever it is. Can you give us an example of how you think about it? Like, what are some possibilities as you just think of that potential future?
Yeah, I think there's, like in the extreme, right, everything is hyper-personalized, meaning like the information is displayed exactly as you yourself like want to consume it, and that's all inferred in the extreme. But practically speaking, we want experiences to be consistent. We want to preserve the identity of the company. We want people to associate muscle memory with our own software. And so I think there's a lot of like inherent constraints that still need to be curated and intentionally designed, even if the model is given more freedom to take some liberties within those constraints. So I think it's really interesting to think about how do you actually build the design system of the future in this new world.
It is.
I'm jumping all over the place now. How are you leveraging AI for your actual development of Figma as a product? Like, kind of the common question: how much of your code is written by AI? What does that workflow look like?
Yeah, we embrace all the AI coding tools.
Okay.
So we're using AI coding tools ourselves. We use Figma AI ourselves. Our general product development workflow centers around Figma. So typically we present briefs and mocks
Could have imagined.
inside of FigJam, like many of our customers as well.
Yeah.
And we use the canvas as a way of like giving everyone space to kind of generate their own ideas and share them without stepping on each other's toes, like having to scroll around and stuff like that. And then we work collaboratively as designers and engineers to try to align on, have we actually evaluated the entire solution space? Do we know where we want to go? And then we bring the best ideas to life. Sometimes with Figma Make, sometimes we use our MCP server to do it in our real code base. And it just kind of rinse and repeat from there.
What software development tools, specifically AI, are you using internally?
Outside of Figma AI in our own platform, we're also using Cursor, and we also use Claude Code directly.
Do you have a preferred model, personally?
Model-wise, I don't have any personal preferences, and we're very open. We're kind of tool agnostic within the company. We want our team to be using all the latest and greatest AI tools.
Staying neutral,
Stay neutral, yeah.
How about open source? Are you using any open source models?
We are exploring a lot of different open source models. So we do post-training on open source models in-house. But we've designed our systems to be adaptable so we can take advantage of the latest and greatest open weight models and then post-train on top of them.
What are you most excited about over the next 6 to 12 months for Figma?
I'm just really excited about like reimagining all software as a result of this new technology.
Yeah, big deal.
There's just so much opportunity to kind of just reimagine how we all interact with these digital experiences online. Dylan likes to say that we're in the MS-DOS era of AI, and I like wholeheartedly agree with that. The future is not literally just linear text history, or chatbots. I think that chatbots also need to embed more visual outputs. And there's, you're already seeing this inside of like ChatGPT's own interface or Anthropic's interfaces. They're bringing back some of the traditional UI components. And so I'm just really excited to see how we adapt with this technology and kind of embrace all the different input modalities and experiences rather than just the low-hanging fruit where we're at right now.
I want to go back a little bit to accessibility. Who do you think your customer is in 5-10 years? Is it still a developer, designer, or a hybrid of that, or is it just someone who has no design or development experience whatsoever and the tool is so intuitive that they can create beautiful designs?
Yeah, I think one thing a lot of people don't realize is that Figma's user base is only 1/3 design. 2/3 it's everything else. So we've really focused on product development teams and the entire company as our customer from day one. We focused on the design tool as a way to help people build better experiences, but ultimately it's a cross-functional process to bring those experiences to life. And so AI is making it just so much easier to bring more people into this process and enabling them to contribute more deeply. And so, for example, we think about our customers as like the PMs and the marketers who align on how they're going to actually not just what they're going to build, but how they're going to market it and how they're going to bring it to life in the real world. We think about the executives who are reviewing like Figma slide decks and how they could potentially use Figma slides more directly themselves with a prompting interface around it, so that they could make sure that all of their own slides are consistently on brand and using the right visuals and the right systems that the designers create. So I think that we're just going to see a lot more role bending, and we're embracing that and always have as a company.
Well, Chris, I'll say we're big fans of Figma. We use it internally, so very appreciative of what you do and what you're building, and just want to say thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Great meeting you guys.
Awesome. Very nice. Thanks so much, Chris.
Enjoy the rest of Dreamforce.
All right. Yeah.
So I think we're on our final guest.
Yes, we are.
It's been a little bit of a marathon. I like it.
Yeah, this is certainly our longest show to date, and I still feel very energetic. There's still a lot of activity going on, a lot of cool things happening at Dreamforce. By the way, if you're at Dreamforce and you're watching this, come say hi to us. We'll be walking around afterwards. But I think we bring on our next guest.
Let's do it.
Yeah?
Yep.
So we have the VP of Salesforce AI, Nancy Zhu. Come on up, Nancy.
Hey, Nancy.
Very nice to meet you.
Matt, Nick,
I'll
so
reach
great to
over
see
here.
you both.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So first, tell us what your role is and what you do at Salesforce.
Sure. I recently joined Salesforce and I help lead our products for Agentforce.
All right.
What does that mean day to day?
Well, it's a lot. As you can imagine, AI is moving really fast, so we're thinking a lot about what does the new agent development lifecycle look like for our customers. So day to day, it's everything from how do we help reinvent what the agent development lifecycle looks like with new products like our new builder, our new studio, all the way to how do we help our customers really go through the agentic transformation, think about observability for agents, think about how they should be organizing their organizations to meet the needs of the agent force.
Yeah, and Nancy, I think what we think about a lot is this concept of model overhang, where the models are incredibly capable, but the scaffolding around it, and we asked your colleague Silvio about this earlier, like how do you get more enterprises to adopt artificial intelligence, implement artificial intelligence when it seems like the models are so capable, but it's still completely green field for actual implementation?
Yeah, I think it's such a great question, and Silvio's amazing. It's at the end of the day, it's not just the models that make agents successful, right? It's a lot of what happens around the models that is needed for agents to be successful. It's the trust layer that you bring into your agents. It's the data connections that you have for your agents. It's the tooling your agents have. All of this is really critical for successful agent implementations. You might have seen at Dreamforce this year, we also released Agent Script. Agent Script is a brand new scripting language that we're building for our customers to enable them to have more predictable and more controllable agents. So to give you an example, one thing we realized is, a lot of our customers, they'll try out a model directly, and it's really good at the whole chit chat. You can have a conversation with these, models, and it's an enjoyable conversation, but it doesn't quite meet the needs that you need for enterprise scale, because your model might, for example, help you do a retirement transfer, but when it does that retirement transfer, it doesn't follow your business processes. And so, yes, it can answer those questions, but without all that scaffolding around the models, you can't really get to enterprise scale. And we think that's so critical, and a lot of what we do at Agentforce is to enable all that scaffolding for models to be successful.
So this is the issue of non-determinism in a model.
Yes.
And so the script that you just mentioned, you can imagine other use cases. From the keynote yesterday, William Sonoma was highlighted.
Exactly.
So non-determinism in a recipe is actually kind of interesting. I come up with something creative, the output doesn't matter as much as long as it's in line with what I think I want, but if it requires me buying a certain appliance from William Sonoma, I have to make sure that that appliance is actually the right appliance. Is that a fair example?
Exactly. Yeah, and I'll give you another example. We have customers like 1-800-ACCOUNTANT, right? It's peak tax season, they're handling millions of tax queries, and they hit a 90% deflection rate with us, and part of why we're able to do that is they can handle these tax queries predictably with the same process every single time, and that's really important as you start to think about repeatable scale for your agents.
As you continue to innovate at Salesforce, where do you think the biggest opportunity within scaffolding is? Is it the memory? Is it the tools? Like, what are you most excited about to be building over the next 6 to 12 months?
I think the evaluation of an observability layer is very important.
Yeah.
Obviously, we need to make it super easy for all of our customers to build an agent, right? So not just the customers, but every person in their organization. We want to empower them to be part of the agent building process. And not only do we want to empower those people, but once you empower them to build the agents, what we're seeing now is the next stage is they need to be able to have observability on how their agents are being used in production, what's working, what's not. Take that signal and get to your agent builder and actually improve your agent using that signal. And then once you have multiple agents in that ecosystem, how do you orchestrate all of these agents together to be successful in a multi-agent world? Those are some of the questions we're thinking about, and it's all sort of this overarching context of what does the modern agent development lifecycle look like?
I'm so glad you said evaluations. From the companies that I've spoken with, it just seems like that's almost an afterthought. It's like, hey, let's get in, let's play around with these tools, let's play around with this, the inference, and actually understanding when you make a change, how does that affect what your output is, what the business looks like from version to version is just not being thought of as much. So I really do think evaluations, and you're probably not only talking about evaluations for your clients, but also internally at Salesforce as you're experimenting with these tools and building your own AI internally.
Absolutely. For our customers, evaluations are important because they need to know if their agents are meeting their business use cases. Right. For us internally, oftentimes our customers look to us as a guide for what models they should be using. So we help our customers run internal benchmarks. That's one of the things my team does is we'll benchmark new versions of OpenAI's models or Anthropic models. We recently brought in Gemini too. We'll benchmark those Gemini models so we can give the customers the confidence that when they're upgrading, they're actually upgrading their agents and they're not degrading performance.
So we've been talking a lot about agents. Very curious, what are your personal favorite use cases for agents? And then what use cases are you seeing most commonly with your customers at Salesforce?
Yeah. So at Salesforce, we have a lot of sales and service use cases. I think one of the perhaps things that people don't know about as much about Agentforce is we aren't just sales and service use cases, right? So we have use cases across finance, we have use cases in recruiting, we have use cases, it runs the whole gamut. I think for me personally, I joined Salesforce through an acquisition of my last company that was more in the recruiting space, and so I love the story that we have with Adecco. We have a very deep partnership with Adecco. We work closely with them on a lot of this, the agent script work, so around creating more determinism. And today, Adecco, if you go to their website and you're a candidate, if you're communicating with them off hours, about 50% of those cases are through our agent that we successfully help them address, and I think that's an amazing story.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about your past startup a little bit. I think you
slightly distracted by the mascot back there.
So have him come on. So MoonHub was the name of the startup, is that right? And so the way I understand it was you were helping with talent acquisition. So you have a unique perspective on the labor market. And this is something that comes up a lot on our show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are really worried about the labor market. Everything from the white-collar bloodbath on one end to more of the optimistic view from Mark Benioff, which is human augmentation instead of replacement. Where do you sit on that spectrum? What gives you hope for humans in this new AI world? Give us your perspective on all of that.
It's a very important question.
Yeah.
So my last company, we worked on vertical specific agents, recruiting being one of them. Hello. He wants to be on camera too.
Yeah.
Recruiting being one of the use cases. I have an optimistic view on this. I think one, we do have to acknowledge that work is transforming, right? And AI is, and a lot of people say the industrial revolution and the farming revolution, and those are great analogies, but the truth is AI is moving a lot faster than some of these other previous revolutions. So we have to acknowledge that. Now, as part of what the future of work looks like, I really believe in this vision of making everyone an agent manager, right? And you might have heard Mark say this as well. I think our job is to enable our customers to uplift everyone in their team so that they can become managers of agents, right? So if you're on a customer success team, you can now manage agents, and you previously didn't have the resources to delegate the work that you wanted to, and now you can make that possible. A nuance of that, of course, is once people become agent managers, I think the way we're going to have to think for our daily work will change too, right? It's no longer about necessarily all the tactical details of how you do something, but we'll elevate people to think about the why. What are the important strategic things we need to solve. Let me delegate the how to the agents to actually do it for me. And it's like if you were on a movie shoot, it'd be like the producers. You're now the producer, or you were the producer before, and now you're the director.
Right.
It's a different mindset.
Yeah, I think you already answered this, but we were just talking to someone. I'm losing track now. But we were talking to them about this phenomenon of being an agent manager. And the question came up of, are we replacing one tedious activity with another tedious activity? But I think what I'm hearing you saying is it's more about interacting with the agents in a strategic way, more of a thought partner than something that's drudgery in the typical sense.
That's exactly right. And when you think about what the future of agents looks like, because a lot of people ask me, well, what does agents look like in 1 year or 2 years? I think we're going to move to a world where agents become more long horizon, so they can work on longer objectives, longer tasks for you. You should be able to tell your agent, hey, I want you to increase my CSAT score by X number of points within 6 months, and your agent will help you figure that out in simulation with your evals and actually get you to that state. And so when you think about that world, my job isn't to figure out how to get the CSAT score up. My job is to figure out the CSAT score going up is important to me, and these are the strategic decisions that I need my agent to make for me to actually get me there.
It's a great example, yeah.
So as you're evaluating new models inside Salesforce, how do you think about the kind of the model landscape? Are you thinking that the end vision is going to be a single omni model that's capable of powering all of Salesforce's products, or do you think there's going to be a lot of smaller, more verticalized, specialized models that you're choosing for the right task at the right time?
What we see with our customers today is that they are trying out different agents within their organization. So it isn't an omni model today. That said, I think the lines really start to blur in the future, because with, for example, A2A, which we support inside Agentforce, your agents can now communicate with each other, right? Is that one massive agent with 2 sub-agents, or is that 2 agents talking to each other, right? I think ultimately the lines become, who are the core sort of platforms that you're using to build your agents, and how do they engage with each other? And for us at Salesforce, we think it's really important that we build agents that are open, that our agents can communicate with other platforms' agents, but most importantly, that we are the platform where we can also help you orchestrate those agents.
But how about in actually the models that you're choosing to power the agents? Do you see it being a single, let's say, Claude agent, or OpenAI's models, or is it going to be more verticalized, more specialized models that are powering the agents?
I see. I think it'll be a mix of both. I don't think it'll be one foundation model that wins them all.
That's what I'm asking, exactly.
And part of why I think this, and what we see with customers is, even with our customers on Agentforce today, they use a variety of different models, right? Like I said, we support OpenAI, we support Anthropic. There are sometimes business reasons why you might use one vendor versus another. I think in certain specialized domains, we're increasingly seeing specialized healthcare models, specialized legal models, specialized finance models come up that are trained on proprietary data or have specific training regimes for that industry. I think those models will be powerful too. And that's why it becomes important. We need to bring all the models in and support them all. And from our sort of vantage point as Agentforce, it's really about how do we make sure that we can support a broad ecosystem of models so customers always get the best performance.
Okay.
Let's talk about agent accountability. Where does it lie?
Something, just to expand on that a bit,
just shot some big words at me over there.
So as agents are taking on more of the work inside of an enterprise organization, things are bound to go wrong. Who is ultimately responsible? Is it the model provider? Is it the employee that invoked the agent? Is it Salesforce? Where does the buck stop ultimately with that agent when something goes wrong?
I think there's nuance to it. It really depends on the type of situation you're in, right? So ultimately, I think we should all feel responsibility for the technology that we build and use, right? Just like for Salesforce, we care a lot about the technology we build, and we want to make sure our customers have a trusted experience when they use Agentforce. But there are differences, right? If it's a copyright issue because your foundational model was trained on a particular type of data, right? That really sits at the model layer, right? I think if it's a issue related to, hey, you're not properly anonymizing your end user's information, and you're sending it to these third-party models without their permission, that's on the platforms, right? And that's why we have a trust layer, and that's why I think a lot of our customers find a lot of value in using the Agentforce platform, is because we build a lot of the scaffolding, to your word, to actually make it possible to run and build agents in this trusted environment. So I know it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of answer, but I think it really depends on the situation. But the most important thing is we all have to build agents with sort of trust and security in mind from the beginning, and that requires business-level stakeholder buy-ins. The most successful agent implementations we see come from business line leaders who have buy-in. They're working with the developers, but there's buy-in from the business leaders on what the end goals for the business are for that agent to be successful.
Are you seeing most adoption come bottom up or top down?
Give me an example of what you mean by bottom up.
So is it usually the manager saying, hey team, you need to use this, go use it, or is it usually the individual contributor saying, this is incredible, hey colleague, use this, and then it spreads within a company, and then eventually the manager finds out and says, oh, this is great, let's continue to implement it across the organization?
Mm-hmm. It's a spectrum. I think on the one end of the spectrum, our customers, a lot of the more complex agents, like if you're building an agent for your service center, that's driven by, it takes a large team effort to build an agent like that, right? So usually there's a centralized effort that's building the agent, and then it's about empowering individuals to get on board and use that agent. Of course, the most successful implementations, you have to loop in the business leaders, you have to loop in the customer success people, and they become the agent managers over time. But there has to be sort of the leadership and the drive to actually want to make the agent happen. Yeah. Because the truth is, agent implementations are complex, right? They're hard, they're tricky. You need someone who's really driving that effort forward for many of these companies. I think for some of these, what I call more maybe task-oriented agents, it can be more bottoms up, right? Yeah. If you have an agent that's like summarizing documents, or I need to make a little agent to do certain types of case summarizations, that can be a little bit more bottoms up.
In SaaS, you have a free trial of some kind of SaaS product, and it's really easy for an individual to get in there and play around, but if it's a fully embedded, integrated agent, you obviously all need those systems to talk to each other.
Exactly. Like, look at Slackbot. So many people love Slackbot. They use Slack, and it's not someone saying, hey, everyone in the organization needs to use Slackbot, right? People discover it, they like the experience, and they tell their friends about it.
Nancy, I think our time is coming up here, so I wanted to thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah. Thank you both so much for coming out here.
Thank you, Nancy.
Great.
Thanks for having us.
We'll have to have you on the live show another time, too. This was the Dreamforce version, but we have a regular version, too. It'd be great to get you on.
Would love to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
All right. We'll see you around.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So there we go.
All of our guests.
Oh, we're going to do our little outro here thing. Yeah.
As long as you want.
Yeah, hang out. Well, I just want to say thanks to everybody watching. I want to say thanks to all of our incredible guests. Thank you to Nick.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the staff here.
Yeah.
They've been instrumental in making this happen. We couldn't have done it without y'all.
Yep. Thank you, Alex. Yep. And thanks to Salesforce for bringing us here. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter @forward_future_ and